Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/entitled parent stories. Today we have a very special episode for you, a compilation of some of the greatest entitled parent stories we read over the past year. So sit back, relax, and enjoy a few hours of the most entitled parents you've ever heard of. And by the way, Karen assured me that if this video gets 1,000 likes, she won't try to speak to anyone's manager for an entire week. So please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. And become an official member of the Re-Army today, and I'll give you a shout out in an upcoming video. r/entitled parents. You're going on vacation? Take my kids with you. My boyfriend's cousin, his paternal uncle's daughter, has 4 kids. Each of her kids is the personification of the word bratty. The said cousin refuses to discipline them and constantly makes excuses for their behavior. She's also very judgmental of our decision to not have kids. She has often made some snide comments towards me, implying that I'm the selfish jerk who is depriving my boyfriend of the joys of raising children. For these reasons, and for her generally entitled behavior, my boyfriend has cut ties with her. However, when he and I visited his paternal home 3 days ago for his parents' anniversary celebration, we ran into her again. My boyfriend's dad had urged him to use this occasion to mend bridges with the cousin, so we both tried to make nice and engaged in small talk with her. During our conversation, boyfriend mentioned that we were leaving for Melbourne for vacation in a few days. At this, cousin's eyes lit up. "Oh, that sounds like so much fun," she said. "My husband and I haven't gone anywhere since our honeymoon." She whined some more about how hard it is for them with 4 kids, if only they could afford such luxuries, etc., etc. I could tell where this was going. My boyfriend probably felt sorry for her and, being the kind and generous soul that he is, offered to buy them a weekend in a resort in Mount Abu, a hill station in the Indian state of Rajasthan. Cousin, face scrunched up. "That's nice, but why can't you just take us to Melbourne with you?" Boyfriend, getting a bit annoyed, but still patient. "Well, we want to spend some time alone together. Plus, we'll be meeting some close friends there. Besides, Mount Abu is a beautiful place. Your kids will love it." Cousin, in the annoying Karen tone. "I still don't see why you can't take us to Australia. You're being so selfish, going on this great trip and sticking your family with a cheap weekend getaway." Boyfriend's mom. "He's making a very generous offer. Either take it or leave it." Cousin, wearing the expression that morons wear when they think they've had a bright idea. "Oh, I know. Why don't my husband and I go to Mount Abu, and you can take our kids to Melbourne?" "What?" "It's a great idea. The kids can have fun in Melbourne with you two, and my hubby and I can enjoy a peaceful weekend. This way, the kids can actually spend some time with their uncle. You never make time for them." Boyfriend. "I'm offering for the last time. It's either the weekend in Mount Abu or nothing at all. And why the heck would we ruin our vacation taking care of your kids?" "How can you say that? My kids are so well behaved. You will have so much fun spending time with them. Besides, my husband and I could really use some quiet time together. You and shy girl turned sassy don't have any responsibilities. You have no idea how hard it is to raise 4 kids. You can afford this trip. I don't see why you won't share with family." Boyfriend. "One more word and you're losing my Mount Abu offer." On hearing this, the cousin shut up. We all had dinner together and she was mercifully quiet. If only her kids had followed her example. You'd think this would be the end of it, but no. We had seriously underestimated her dedication to her cariness. This morning, cousin showed up at my apartment with the kids in tow. I was shocked to see her, of course, and asked if something was wrong. She smiled and said, "I'm just here to drop the kids off. You're leaving tonight, right?" After taking a second to recover from the shock, I asked, "Did you fall and hit your head on something? We told you we weren't taking your kids with us. What part of that did you not understand?" She then tried to convince me that my boyfriend had called her later on and had agreed to take her kids. I knew this was BS and called it as such. Cousin became enraged and asked if I was going to break her kid's heart. Why would I break our promise, and how boyfriend and I could be so cold? I called my boyfriend after telling him what was going on. I turned on the speaker. My boyfriend proceeded to chew her out brutally, telling her he would no longer pay for their weekend getaway and that this is exactly the kind of behavior that had made him cut ties with her. She tried to get a word in, but he wouldn't let her. Cousin took the kids and stormed off. Boyfriend and I are having a laugh over this and are still wondering what made her think that this plan would ever work. Next we've got entitled Scammer Bugs Me with Bugs. Hello, Redditors. Been listening to the videos on YouTube for a couple days and made me remember my first encounter with an entitled jerk. It's not exactly an entitled parent. I think it falls more under the line of entitled customer or scammer. This is my first post, so please be kind. Before I begin, a little context. I work at my mother's bar and hotel, and I clean both places. We'll probably own it someday, so I take great care to make sure it's beyond clean. Working at a bar and hotel, I come across entitled people a lot, so this will probably not be my only post. So I was cleaning the bar one morning, rocking out to Sonic the Hedgehog music in my headphones. I work by myself and am allowed to listen to music. Sonic music keeps me focused, calm, and happy. Something that was a necessity given what I was about to face. I just finished mopping the floor and just put the mop away and was humming along to City Escape from Sonic Adventures 2 when I noticed the door open out of the corner of my eye and the most unpleasant looking man enters my bar. He had an ugly comb over, a face that looked like he exclusively practiced the art of frowning, and the widest Coke bottle framed glasses you have ever seen. His permanently glaring eyes laser focused on me, and he strolls up to me in that "I have a complaint" manner. I internally sigh, knowing that I have to face this alone, as our maintenance man and good friend who lives on the property and one of the hotel rooms had only recently went into town for supplies. So I summoned the inner actor within me and gave him my best greeting. From here on, the cast is as follows. We've got me, we've got entitled scammer, and we've got maintenance man. Me, in my best customer service voice. "Good morning, sir. How may I help you today?"
"I want to speak to a manager immediately."
"I'm sorry, sir. I'm the only one here. Can I perhaps help you?" At this point, realizing he perhaps has an easy target, he actually smiles a little. It's the most unpleasant smile I have ever seen. This is when I noticed that he is carrying a styrofoam coffee cup in his hands. This is very important for later.
"Yes, you can. I want a refund."
Me blinking in response. "A refund?"
"Yes, I want my money back. I'm very unsatisfied with my stay."
"I'm sorry. What was unsatisfactory about your stay?" This was what he was waiting for. He pounced on me immediately, launching into a level 5 rant.
"Your hotel is the most disgusting place I have ever stayed in."
He proceeds to list a laundry list of things presumably wrong with the room I cleaned. The whole thing was drawn out and clearly rehearsed. This was when he shoved his coffee cup in my face.
"And on top of all that, I found bed bugs in your room. I want my money back."
I peer into the cup. There are 2 very tiny and very dead bugs in the bottom of the cup. I know something is fishy about this guy. First off, because that coffee cup isn't even one of ours. We have the most durable ones you buy at the store. You know, the ones with designs on them? This was a cheap, white styrofoam cup. Second, I knew that room was spotless because I gave it a thorough cleaning only 2 days ago, meaning I washed the blankets, wiped the walls down, etc. It had recently been cleaned top to bottom, so I knew for a fact there were no bed bugs in that or any room, as I go in every single day myself. And there was also the undeniable fact that those were clearly not bed bugs in his cup. They were a beetle of some kind. I just wanted to get on with my day, so I continued my customer service act. I'm very sorry your room was unsatisfactory. We will be sure to check on the state of the room in the meantime. I apologize, but it's our policy not to offer refunds. Now, if I thought he was being rude and entitled before, oh boy, was I in for a surprise. His eyes narrowed so intensely, it was a wonder he could see. His face turned so bright red, he reminded me of a dodgeball. He began screeching at me. Insert re here. It begins, boys and girls. Buckle up.
What do you mean no refunds? Didn't you hear me? I said there are bed bugs in your hotel room. I want my money back now. And I want that cleaner fired immediately. Summon the cleaner so I can see you fire her.
Me, getting a little red in the face myself, but still keeping my composure. I'm sorry, sir. It's our policy. Entitled scammer cuts me off.
Forget your policy and forget you. Get in that cash register and give me my money back now. And then I want that cleaner fired. She did a terrible job. I'm lucky I didn't get sick.
I realized I wasn't getting anywhere with this guy, so I firmly say, I will not be doing that, sir. There is nothing I can do for you. Have a good day. Making it clear I am done with this, and to emphasize my point, I jam my headphones back in my ear and turn away. That's when I feel my headphones get ripped out of my ears. I turn around. An entitled man has my brand new headphones and has thrown them on the ground and has stomped on them.
Don't you dare ignore me, you piece of crap. I want my money back. And I want that cleaner of yours fired right away. You hear me?
Now, I'm a pretty easygoing guy on a good day, but I don't take any BS from anybody. I have a line you simply don't cross with me, and this entitled jerk just paved over my line. He was about to meet a level of crazy he never imagined. I look up at him with unparalleled anger and rage in my eyes. All right, sir. I said the word like it was something vile, no longer in my nice customer service voice. As I told you, I cannot give you any money, nor would I, even if I could. But you're too stupid to realize that, so let me spell it out for you. There is no refunds, especially since I know that you're just trying to scam me for a free night. Entitled man puffs his chest as a defensive measure.
How could you say something like that? I'm only trying to inform you of your cleaner's shoddy work, and
I am the cleaner, you stupid jerk. Entitled man's eyes go wide, and the color drains from his face. It was clear that he didn't expect that. He was talking to someone who knew what the room actually looked like. I could see his brain go into overtime, and he returned to his trump card, the bed bugs.
Wow, that explains things. Clearly such a disrespectful little punk doesn't take pride in his work. Of course, that's why you have bed bugs here. With a little jerk like you cleaning rooms.
Me, not having any of it. Mind you, I'm over 20 at this point in my life. Oh ho, that's rich. Tell me, do you always carry around bugs in cheap coffee cups? Or did you just catch them exclusively for my hotel? He stammers a bit, caught off guard. Because if you found these bed bugs in our room, why aren't they in our coffee cups? No response. I continued. Also, Those aren't bed bugs, you stupid jerk. Those are beetles, and from the looks of them, quite old and dead. Probably got them from the dash of your car. And by the way, you can't see bed bugs, idiot. You can only see the results of them. And since there are no bug bites on you, Mr. Potato Head-shaped face, I know you're lying. And lastly, if our room is so disgusting, why did you stay the whole night and not report it? You are a scammer trying to get a free room out of us. So take your scamming self out of my bar and off my property before I call the police. The mention of the police seems to bring the fight back into him. He puffs up and pulls the same card every entitled jerk who doesn't get his way tries, the manager card.
How dare you speak to a customer like that? I will have your job. I want the owner's name right now. I will have you fired.
Me, smirking at him with the smuggest smile I can muster. You can go right ahead. The owner is my mother. All I can say is good luck with that. Realizing he lost, he begins backing towards the door, shouting and threatening my job, yada yada yada. That's when he leaves me with the parting words of a supervillain.
You haven't heard the last of me. I'll get you fired and reported to your manager.
Me, in a gruff tone. You can tell me all about it. Entitled man whips around to find maintenance man standing behind him. He had forgot something and came back and had heard the whole exchange. His body language suggested entitled man's words would not be of any interest. Maintenance man pulls entitled man out of the door and the two engage in a shouting match outside. Long story short, nobody believed him. He took off before the cops were called, and unlike his proclamation, that was the last I heard from him. Thanks for reading. Hope you enjoyed. I got more stories to come if there's interest. Next we've got 75 Chairs, my entitled dad. A bit of backstory is necessary. My dad was the worst kind of entitled parent, the closet Darren. He had everyone believing he was Dad of the Year because he bought me the first Nintendo system and a Game Boy for road trips. He was generous and pleasant in front of my friends and giving at our church. At home, he was the total opposite. He controlled the money and was convinced that everything was too expensive. He had grown up in the Great Depression and the farm he lived on was very poor. He was also purposefully forgetful when it came to planning things for me as a way of controlling me. This came from a nasty divorce that left him with weekends and his ex, not a lax parenting style, the rest of the time to mold the kids into productive members of society. No, it didn't go well. He imposed so many rules on me while allowing me just enough freedom to think things were okay. Example, I could ride my bike a mile away, but not have a sleepover for my birthday to repaint my room. Even after I got a job, he tried to control my money by questioning every purchase. I stopped telling him what I bought pretty quickly. Sadly, his behavior continued well into my marriage, and he had to be told to shut up about pacifiers before he and my mom came to visit my daughter for the first time. Like I said, he managed to hide it well for 11 years at the church we began attending when I was 12. Wedding planning brought out a side of it that I had never seen. He angrily questioned $100 at Walmart for wedding decorations. The wedding was done for under $2,000. Argued with me about renting candelabras for the front of the church and grumbled through the 3 months leading up to the wedding. His shining moment, though, was in the car parked outside of the church doors with the windows rolled down on a Sunday afternoon as we discussed renting chairs for the reception in the church basement so that people could sit down and eat. People were still talking and kids were running on the grass waiting to go home. The cast. We've got me, Dad, and friend. Me. We need to rent 75 chairs for the reception. The church doesn't have enough.
Why? Not everyone needs to sit and eat at once.
Yelling loud enough to get the attention of everyone outside.
They eat, then get a drink.
There is room for more chairs, and some of the food needs 2 hands to eat. We had chicken wings and a lot of finger food. Dad, insert male here.
It's a waste of money, and I won't do it.
This time, our pastor came out and looked at the car. My dad saw him, got quiet, and drove home without saying another word. We rented the chairs. That evening was awkward going back to church, as most of my friends had been outside to see the outburst. I wanted to cry and not sit by him. I was 23 and felt like I was 10. After church, my closest friend let me cry as she gave me a hug. My friend, I'm sorry. I didn't believe things were that bad. I've got some things I'll need help with if you have time. Groceries, cleaning. She had fibromyalgia and had more bad days than good ones. Organizing my new place. I'd love to. Thanks for the distraction. He's never been this bad. The wedding planning brought it out. More friends approached me and said sorry for not taking my complaints seriously. He didn't do anything like that at church again, but he never changed either. The wedding was beautiful, and later, he was a wonderful grandfather. But up until he died, I maintained a healthy distance as his tendencies came out often. He died in 2011, and I miss the good about him, but probably won't ever forget the bad. Entitled mom tries to steal my bike for entitled kid. Gets in trouble with the law. Backstory. I'm in my mid-30s and have a very bad back with nerve damage that causes immense pain. Because of this, I cannot ride conventional bicycles with my wife and 2 daughters without severe to debilitating pain. To let me ride with them, I built myself a tadpole recumbent trike. If you do not know what those are, it's a tricycle with 2 wheels in the front used for steering and 1 in the back for propulsion. It sits really low to the ground, and you ride in a reclined position, using just your legs to pedal, so no strain on the back. With this recumbent, I can ride for hours and be virtually pain-free. Cast. We've got OP, my humble self. We've got entitled mom, typical Karen. We've got entitled kid, and we've got our officer. Story. One day, about 2 months ago, I was riding with my family, and we decided to stop by the grocery store at the end of our ride. The store is only about 10 blocks from our house, so we decided to pick up things for dinner on the bicycles instead of riding home and firing up my big truck to drive back the 10 blocks. The only problem is that there were 5 bikes in our group and only 1 bike lock with us. No problem, I'm sitting on a recliner. I sent everyone in the store while I sat with the bikes in the shade of a tree outside. I've done this many times before, and my interesting trike never fails to get the attention of other shoppers. I've had some really great conversations with people who didn't know anything like it existed. Today was no exception, until this typical Karen came out of the store with entitled kid in tow. The moment entitled kid sees my recumbent, he starts pulling his mom's hand and dragging her over to me. Now, entitled kid looks to be about 10 and was just over 4 feet tall. This will be important later. Here is what follows.
Mom, look at this cool bike. I want to ride it.
That is an interesting bike. OP, my son wants to ride that bike.
I'm sorry, ma'am. This is a custom recumbent, built to fit me.
I didn't ask what it is. I want you to let my son try it out.
Again, I'm sorry, ma'am. But first, it is built for someone over 2 feet taller than your son, so he couldn't ride it without hurting himself. And second, it was custom built and is far too valuable for me to let strangers risk damaging it.
Mom, make him let me ride it.
See what you did? You made my little angel cry. I demand you let him ride it now. I don't care that you say he won't fit. It looks to me like he will, and I'm his mother, so it's up to me, not you.
She then turns to her kid and says,
Go ahead, honey.
At this point, I'm tired of attempting to be polite. I get between the kid and my bike. Don't even try it. Leave me alone and don't even think about touching my property or I will call the law on you.
I'll just tell them that this is my son's bike and that you stole it from him and get you arrested.
I pulled out my phone and speed dialed the non-emergency number for the local police department. I have them on speed dial because my oldest daughter is in Police Explorers and I know every officer by first name. The officer who answers is in charge of our Explorer post, so when he answers, I say, "Officer, I'm having a problem here at the grocery store. Could you or another officer please head down for a second?" He says he's on his way and hangs up. Entitled Mom, an officer is on the way. Entitled Kid dodges around me and flops down in the seat of my recumbent. He's grinning like a fool, even though he has to stretch his legs as far as he can and slide down almost off of the seat just to reach the pedals. "Ma'am, your son is sitting on my private property without my permission. Please remove him now."
No, he has every right to sit there. And you are going to be in so much trouble when the officer gets here. I'm going to have you arrested, and my son will have a new bike.
About this time, officer pulls up about 20 yards away from us. He steps out of his cruiser, walks over, and says, "OP, what seems to be the problem?" All the while looking sideways at Entitled Mom and Entitled Kid. "This lady," Entitled Mom cuts me off.
This thief here is trying to steal my son's bike. I need to get my son and his bike home immediately. Please deal with him while we leave.
"You are saying that OP stole your son's bike? Where's the bike? And can you prove it?" I'm standing there, stunned, until I see officer turn towards me and wink. Now I know that he has already read the situation and is going to have fun with this, so I just stand there silent.
I caught him, and when I confronted him, he got off my son's bike, and now my son is sitting on it again. Please arrest him and let us leave. I've got groceries that are getting warm, and my ice cream is going to melt.
"Oh, so this interesting thing is your son's bike. Got it. What is this thing anyway?"
It's called a recurrent. It's a custom bike. Now, can we go?
A recurrent? I've never heard of those. Where do you get something like that?
What's with all the questions? He tried to steal my son's bike. Take care of him. Do your job. Come on, Entitled Kid. Follow me. We are going home.
At this point, Entitled Karen attempts to pedal the recumbent and is having a hard time. I'm used to riding it, so I don't downshift when I stop, and it was in high gear. "Okay, ma'am, that is enough. Get your son off of OP's recumbent and step over to my patrol car. We need to have a talk. It looks like you just attempted to steal a $1,500 custom bike from OP here."
No, it's my son's bike.
That's interesting, because I remember when OP was putting it together over 2 years ago, and I've ridden it several times as he lives 3 blocks away from me. Now, please show me your ID.
Why do you need my ID? I'm not showing you anything.
You need to show me your ID because you just attempted to steal someone's property. If you do not, you will be arrested. Entitled Kid gets off my bike and bursts into tears. He's crying and screaming about how he wanted the bike and the mean cop needs to leave his mommy alone. "OP, I'll take care of this. You have a good day. And remember that your daughter has an Explorer meeting Thursday night." It was Sunday. My family had just come out of the store as officer leads them over to his cruiser. We all get on our bikes and head home, with me telling them what had happened. That Thursday, I had a talk with officer. He let me know that she stopped being rude and belligerent at his cruiser, and he kept her there for about 20 minutes while he ran her ID and described what she had done and could have happened if I had pressed charges. By the time she was done, Entitled Kid wasn't the only one crying. He ended up just giving her a verbal warning, but by the time he was done, the carton of ice cream in her shopping bag had melted and leaked all over her and the parking lot. Next we've got Entitled lady calls me an it and gets away with it, but I get some revenge. Howdy, I'm a new subscriber and I figured this story would give you some anger fuel. I've posted it before, but my friend recently reminded me of some details, so I figured I would post it again here with the full story. Also, she isn't as entitled as she is just a bully who thought she could get away with it, but I think it still fits here. Correct me if I'm wrong. To start, I'm on mobile, so sorry if the formatting gets wonky, and unfortunately, this doesn't have the happiest ending, but I do get my own revenge in the end. Cast. We've got Hick, entitled mother. We've got me. We've got my BFF. We've got the jerk manager. And we've got entitled mom's family, her son and her mom. Not really a part of the story, but they looked remorseful through all of this. And now, let the story begin. So I used to work at a popular fast food chain. Let's call it Whackdonald's with my BFF. Let me start this off by saying we are both trans, and back then we had higher pitched voices, but very masculine figures, so most people just didn't use pronouns when speaking with us. At this time, we had only been working for Whackdonald's for about a month and a half, and so far, everything was as you would expect it to be. The regular crappy customer who only got a little upset when we messed something up. Most people in our town are old, so they would regularly frequent this Whackdonald's. They knew we were kinda new, so they gave us some slack. One day, me and BFF were on the two front registers. It was lunch peak, so there was about 12 groups of people waiting in our lobby to either be served or to get their order taken. So far, all of the orders we took had gotten to them with nothing wrong at all. Everything was going smoothly until I see entitled mom and her family walk in. Already I can tell that she's in a nasty mood and will probably cause some issues. She is a very large woman with a full-on mullet, lumberjack clothes, black teeth, and sounds like she just came straight from the deep south. I went to school with her son, and he was relatively chill. He was silent through this whole thing, and so was his grandmother. They get through the line and unfortunately come to my register. I don't remember their order besides what entitled mom had gotten. 2 triple cheeseburgers with no pickles. I finished taking their order and I reread everything to them, making sure to say no pickles on the 2 triples. Entitled mom pays and goes off to wait for their food. Finally, things start to slow down a bit, so I run to the back to get cups for the cup dispensers since we were running low. As I'm walking back up, I hear screaming. As I get back up there, I see that BFF looks like he wants to end Hick. She is screaming about wanting a manager and how ridiculous this all was. There were 2 managers there at the time, jerk manager and one of the nice managers. Unfortunately, jerk manager was the one to come handle the situation. I walk up to BFF and jerk manager and ask what's going on. BFF was red in the face and yelled, "She called you an it!" I was just in shock and couldn't really say anything. I had never been called an it before, and even though I'm used to being called nasty names, it really got to me. Jerk manager simply looks at BFF and tells him that she would handle this and asks entitled mom what happened. She then repeats what she said word for word.
I ordered 2 triples with no pickles. There are pickles on these sandwiches. He, she, it messed up my order.
Jerk manager.
Okay, ma'am. I'm sorry about this inconvenience. We will fix this right away.
I want a refund for these sandwiches. I'm not paying for this crappy service.
Of course, ma'am. We will get this sorted out.
At this point, I'm literally standing behind my register in tears, and BFF is ready to hop over the counter and take on this behemoth. Unfortunately, jerk manager forced us to continue taking orders. I was still crying as I took an elderly man's order, and he was super nice to me. He told me that if we would accept tips, he would have given me the biggest tip for going through that. I thanked him and started crying more. Now I bet y'all are wondering, where is the justice in this? This can't be it. And you would be right. We continued to work for this McDonald's for 5 excruciating months, and in this time, I was the main person on grill. BFF would frequently be up front with the customers, and whenever entitled mom would come in, he would tell me what she had ordered. I would do one of several things. Oversalt her meat, undersalt her meat, burn the meat, and I even spit on her meat once. I don't care how nasty it sounds. You don't call someone an it and expect to get away with it. I no longer work at McDonald's. I work at the far superior Starbucks, and even though I still see entitled mom come through the drive-thru, I don't treat her badly. I am sickly sweet to her, knowing full well that if I wanted, I could accidentally spill her drink on her lap. Thanks for reading, and I hope you enjoyed my story. Next we've got How I Learned My Former Friend Was an Entitled Deadbeat Leech. Hey Mr. Reddit, I'm back with another story. Now, I originally posted this in r/entitled people, and I have edited for your standards and thought this is something that the fellow re-army might like. But if it's not your cup of tea, that's fine too. Too long didn't read at the bottom. I knew this guy from primary school. Let's call him David. Obvious fake name. We got along well. We would hang out, chat, the typical friends things. But when his family moved away, we lost contact with each other. Skip forward many years, and I am living by myself in my first rental unit, a small 1-bedroom. This plays into the story. And one day I was grabbing some food and I walk into David. And I do mean walk into him. I see him and he sees me. It was like no time had passed. We were back to chatting, exchanging numbers, catching up, and we begin to hang out once again. Things are going great. Until it didn't. I get a call from him, and he is clearly upset as his mother, which he was staying with, was kicking him out. He needed a place to crash, so I offered my couch. The deal was simple. He would stay until he got his feet underneath him, but until that time, he would give me $50 a fortnight towards food. He agreed to the terms and moved in. The thing is, the first month or so was going great. He was paying on time, kept to himself, kept his music to a reasonable level, and would ask for small things, and me, trying to be a good host, would at times get it. He would even tell me a week in advance if he was going anywhere, and would come back on the day he said he would. We even went halves in a PlayStation 2. Yep, this is how far back it was. Then things changed. Slowly, he started paying less. His music got louder. Slowly, he starts to take over my place. The weeks advance becomes days. His requests turn from "can I" to "I want." Then he stopped paying me altogether. His music got so loud, I got an official complaint from the real estate that I was renting through. His wants became demands. He stopped giving me advance, just telling me hours before he would go and be gone longer than he claimed. All while he's coming back with new clothes, new shoes, and stated he doesn't have any money, but would give me gifts, like a shirt of my favorite band that was too small for me, but would fit him like a charm. And here I am, paying for food for 2, paying electricity for 2, and he is not putting in a cent. His mother and mine tried to convince me to get rid of him, seeing what he was doing to me. I defended him. Yes, I'm an idiot, I know. The thing is, he always played the victim. The whole, "oh, woe is me" type. You know the ones.
Oh, how I can't find a place. Oh, how I can't find a job. Oh, nobody gets me. Nobody can understand.
Just complaints and moans all day long while sitting on their butt listening to depressing music. Yup, he was that type. The final straw came around Christmas. All this time, my mother lived in a different town than I did and was going to spend Christmas by herself. I was not going to let that happen. So I planned to spend the Christmas week with her. And for 2 months, I was telling David about it, reminding him, making sure he got nothing planned for that week. He would assure me that he had nothing. Every week I would do this, reminding him, and he would still give that
I got it, yeah,
response. 3 days before I need to go, David tells me out of the blue that he's going the week to another town to spend it with his friends. I was mad. I've been telling you for weeks that I'm going to be out of town. When did this happen?
last week.
And you didn't think to tell me until now? David goes on his woe is me tour once again. Me grinding my teeth. When are you going?
Thursday.
A day before I gotta leave. And when are you coming back?
Wednesday.
A day before I get back. I just moan loudly. Fine. Here's my key. My only key. You better be back on Wednesday, so help me.
Yeah.
The week with my mother went great, and eventually I got back on Wednesday, a day before I was meant to. I go home. Door is locked. Okay, he must be down the street or something. I go to my real estate and ask for the spare key, making some excuse. The day comes and goes. David is a no-show. Okay, he must be away. He does know I wouldn't be back until tomorrow, so I guess he figured to stay longer. Thursday, no show. Friday, no show. Saturday, Sunday. You get the idea. A week goes by, and still nothing. 2 weeks, still nothing. 3 weeks, and still nothing. No calls, no texts, nothing. I would have taken a smoke signal at the time. I was done, just done. I took all his crap and just threw it out, keeping all his more valuable things as he still owed me money. The next day, I just put all his junk in the bin. That was a good day. The day after I put his stuff in the bin, I wake up and go to the kitchen to have my coffee. I turn, and guess who's on my couch sleeping? David. With a brand new dyed hairstyle, new brand name clothes, new brand name shoes, and my key on the coffee table. I took it back. I was mad. I went outside and called my mother, asking for advice. She tells me simply, just let him know. My mom is awesome. I go back inside and he's awake, and I let him have it. Where the heck were you? No calls, no texts, nothing. I just went off at him while he's just sitting there with that whole,
How dare you talk to me that way?
look, which is only fueling the rage I had. I just let it all out, every little and major thing, the lies, the BS, everything. I laid it all on the table. After I vented and had my say, I ask if he has anything to say about himself. He goes into his classic woe is me spill, like I haven't heard that before.
I didn't have any credit.
You could have asked your friends to use their phone.
My battery died.
It's called a charger. Every excuse he gives, I shoot it down hard. He got nothing but excuses. No apologies, no form of taking any responsibilities, nothing but the same crap I have heard a million times. I just looked at him. Nothing but disgust and anger.
You know, I don't have to put up with you. My friends have offered that I can stay with them for free.
Good! Go be a leech on them! In fact, I give him a 20. I don't know why, I just wanted him out. Here, take this and just go.
Fine.
I thought that would be the end of it. God only knows how wrong I am. About a couple weeks later, I get a call from a mobile number that I didn't recognize, so I answer it. Hello?
Oh, hi.
Oh, now he calls me.
Listen, I'm wondering if you could pay me out for the PlayStation.
No?
How come?
'Cause you owe me money.
Okay. How about I pay you out and you send the PlayStation?
No! You owe me money. We do this for 5 minutes until I finally get another voice. I guess David's friend. His friend explained how David explained to them that he didn't owe me any money. I explained the deal we had, how he was nothing more than a leech and he would do the same to him too. Eventually, we came to an agreement. If they want the PlayStation, David needs to do the following: pay what he owed and pay me out. He tells me that he will get back with me. They never did. In my mind, he forfeited his ownership of it, and it was mine. I later sold it to get a PS3. With the power of hindsight, David didn't ask about anything else. Not about his clothes, not his stereo, nothing. Just the PlayStation. Clearly, I know where his mindsight was. Months go by without a word, and I come across his mother, which we are still on good terms, even to this day, and I ask how things were going. And what she tells me sickens me to the core, and still does. David got a girl pregnant and did a bolt, and the girl had the kid, and that David's mother hasn't met her first grandkid. She eventually did, thank God. David tried to contact me twice, no doubt trying to get into my good graces again. He tried to do it with my sister. I told her to block him. He tried on the Book of Face. I blocked him within seconds. Burn a bridge with me? That thing is charcoal. The last I heard of him is he was crashing on someone's place, still blaming the world, still being a worthless deadbeat waste of space. What makes it bad is that after him, I had a serious distrust to any of my friends of coming around or staying even for a night. I was so guarded and so mistrusting because of one bad experience. But time is a good healer, and that wall has crumbled somewhat. Anyways, I just needed this out there. So thanks for everyone who read this far. I will post any update if I hear anything else. And our final story of the day. Entitled teacher and deputy principal refused to allow me to drop subject in school because they wanted me in the class even though I disliked the students and teacher. Hey, Mr. Reddit and Re-Army. Love the videos. I'm a daily listener of them. Helps me to get up in the morning. I even listen to them when I'm driving home from a good day out and I'm alone. I'll try to remember dialogue as best I can. Also, not sure if this is an entitled parents or person post. If this ever gets put in a video, you have my full permission. Also, too long didn't read at the bottom, and any grammar errors and mistakes at the bottom, feel free to correct me in the comments below. Let's begin for some context. The deputy principal and I have known each other since I was 12 to 13, year 7. So I was cool with him being my deputy at the school where I finished off my high school years. But grade 11 was where it went downhill real quick. The entitled teacher of this tale started at school in 2013. I was in grade 9. The events happened in 2015. Also keep in mind I'm Australian. For the cast and players, you have me. You have the entitled teacher. She was a pain in the neck. And the deputy principal. He was an alright man, but I was annoyed at him for a while after this. But I forgave him. He's involved later on. Every Friday, we would have this class called Sport, Lifestyle, and Recreation Studies. And of course, I didn't like sport or anything of that nature, but I was forced to do it along with all the other peers in the class who were all jerks, and I disliked every single one of them. But the worst of all was we had a kid who technically wasn't part of the class come in and join. He wasn't entitled or anything, we just had a few run-ins. I left the class for a few minutes for some air and to regather my thoughts and have a drink of water. I returned, and here's entitled teacher, ready to have a go at me.
Hot Rod, get over here. I want to talk to you.
This had better be good.
You need to let me know where you're going from now on, or you will get in trouble.
I tell myself, yeah. I know darn well I dislike you and this class. Why can't I drop it? A few weeks later, we get notified that we would be attending a trip to learn more about sports, and I think it was windsurfing, surfing, or go-karting, or something to that effect. I, of course, hated it because of entitled teacher and didn't want to go because of her. So they had the opportunity to drop a subject for the HSC year. I, of course, wanted to drop this subject and one called Community and Family Studies, CAFS for short. But no, I was allowed to drop CAFS, but not this one. I was furious. I stopped attending the class, but was forced into the deputy principal's office over this. Deputy principal says, "Hot Rod, do you want to know why I've called you here?" Me, just over this school's antics and I started getting angry. Yeah, I have a solid idea about this. It's entitled Teacher and her antics about not allowing me to drop the class, which I hate so much. Yup, allow me to get the entitled teacher so we can talk this out. Entitled Teacher, all fake sympathetic to me.
Why do you want to drop this class? And what are you going to do?
Me. I want to drop this class because, to be honest, you and the kids treat me like absolute dirt. And I'm just done. I want out. And especially the way you've treated me over the years. I'm done with it all. Now, unfortunately, I didn't drop the class, and the teacher was harder on me ever since this whole ordeal. And that's my story of having a run-in with an entitled teacher. Thanks for reading, and have a great day. Entitled Mom goes insane over my Harry Potter tattoo. Hello again, Mr. Reddit and the Re-Army. I want to start off real quickly by saying a big thank you to everyone for their support in my last post involving an entitled mom who attacked me in a public restroom because she didn't believe in my invisible disease and thought I was trying to promote another very serious health condition to her daughter. I am so happy that my story has reached out to so many who are dealing with their own battles, and it gives them hope. My story has even made its way to an artist online who illustrates people's stories into videos. I have included a link to this video at the end of this story. I cannot thank you all enough for the support. Keep up the love. Here's a link in case you want to read it. Although it has nothing to do with this story, it will explain a little in how I handle myself and other experiences I have had with entitled people. I will try here soon to write down more of my entitled parent experiences, most dealing with my in-laws. I am on mobile today, but plan on going on to my computer later to edit, so please let me know if any errors need correcting. This is a pretty quick one that happened before the 4th of July. So at the beginning of June, I got my first tattoo with my two sisters. Two of the closest women in my life outside my childhood friend A and my cousin Meg, who did play a part in the bathroom fiasco. We decided to get matching tattoos because we had been together throughout our lives, despite distance, lifestyles, and overall life. First boyfriends, high school drama, colleges, graduations, our weddings. The tattoos are to be the ultimate friendship bracelet because we won't accidentally lose them. I initially came up with the idea when I was rereading the Harry Potter series for the millionth time after getting this symbol from the Deathly Hallows and the tale of the three brothers. Because not only are we Potter nerds, I thought it would nicely remind each of us of all we had gone through together. My disease, A's nursing school and moving with her military husband, and Meg's move to Japan. The design is the same, but we'd pick a hallow and have it inked black while the rest was in gray. Here's a picture. I have the cloak, A has the stone, and Meg has the wand. We did each have to get it redone pretty quickly after because it faded and was messed up in places on each of us. We did get it done pretty quick at first, but all are happy with it nonetheless. Live and learn. Okay. So on to our entitled parent encounter. I work in a small shared office building. The top floor held the advertising company I work for, along with a local investment firm next door. Below us, there is a children's speech and therapy center. Often we get to interact with the kids and the parents, because right outside that office are the only vending machines in the building. Since I am on the computer all day, I often need something with caffeine to wake me up when the day gets long. Our cast. We've got me, the frustrated designer. We've got Sweet Boy. We've got Sweet Boy 2, who was Sweet Boy's brother. He doesn't say anything. And we've got Entitled Mom, along with Nice Dad and the Sweet Boy's stepmother, who's briefly mentioned. So I went downstairs for a Coca-Cola to help with my stress migraine and get away from my computer because we were having a time crunch to get ads in for a local paper. Plus, it was hot outside and the AC was barely keeping us cool. I'm counting my change and look up to see a boy playing outside the office, just innocently pushing the buttons of the vending machine. He was maybe 6 to 7. He looks up at me and smiles. I say hello and ask if I could get something from the machine real quick. He nods, stepping back so I can put my change in. Note here for Mr. Reddit. If you decide to read my story and don't want to stutter, you don't have to. I just wrote it this way because it's how he talks. Sweet boy says,
Could I push the button?
I look at him and smiled. My younger brother stuttered when he was little, but he grew out of it with speech therapy, which is good because he's getting his doctorate degree. So I decided to let him. I saw no harm in it, and he was being so polite. Me, that would be great. Could you hit the one with the red and white swirls? His big grin melted my heart. He reached up and hit the button I indicated, and the drink made its way into the catch. Me, thank you for your help. I kneel down and reach in for my drink.
What's that?
He pointed to my wrist. I had pulled my blazer sleeve back, and it pulled my cotton wristband with it, revealing my tattoo. I had gotten the band to remain professional in the workplace and protect my tattoo from rubbing against my desk when it was healing. Oh, you mean my tattoo? I put the soda down and show my wrist to him. I thought nothing of it since kids and adults have asked me about it ever since I got it.
Ta-ta-ta,
he tries to say. I smile and am trying to help him sound it out slowly when, bang! Here comes the entitled mom, slamming open the door to the therapist office, dragging her other kid by the hand. She already looked ticked off.
Who are you? And what are you doing with my son?
I slowly stand up, holding up my soda. I could already tell what she was, an entitled mother, just by that one line. But since I wasn't in the mood to get into a conflict with her, I tried softening her up. Me, Mrs. T, ma'am, your son was just being a perfect gentleman and helping me get a soda. She looked at my hand with the soda seeming to settle down. Then her eyes narrowed. It was like having a missile targeting system focusing on my wrist.
What is that on your wrist?
I, knowing where this was probably heading. My tattoo? And here we go. Entitled mom exploded.
That is a devil's mark. You are trying to corrupt my son. You nasty.
I was shocked by her language in front of her kids. I had read of such reactions from the religious crowd towards the Wizarding World franchises and tattoos in general. But since the symbol is so well known from the Wizarding World franchises, I didn't think I'd meet someone like that here. And besides the tattoo and my mane of red hair, I seriously looked like a normal woman. Entitled mom lunges towards her son and I, grabbing him by the shoulder and pulling him back, making him cry out as he fell down. I hate seeing these things, so something in me snapped, but I tried not to shout, tear her a new one, and scare her kids even more. What in the world is your problem, lady? You just hurt him. It's just a tattoo.
I am saving him from being brought into your circle of nasties. Besides, he's my son. I can do what I want.
I'm getting frustrated, but for the kid's sake, I try again to explain. Look, ma'am, it's just a tattoo me and my sisters got together for a special occasion. It's not evil in any way. It's from a fantasy book series. Kids around the world have read it and love it. Entitled mom scoffs, trying to burn into my soul with her glare.
You lying little jerk. You are probably trying to bring these kids into your cult so that you and your sisters can perform weird rituals.
I tried to reply, unsuccessfully trying to hide my disgust with this woman, when a man, nice dad, walked into the building behind me. The two boys rushed to the man. Sweet boy clung to his dad's leg. Entitled mom, what is taking so long? Me and the boys need... Entitled mom cuts him off.
This jerk is trying to get Sweet Boy to join her cult, and when she was caught, threatened me with violence.
Nice dad looked at me confused. With an irritated sigh, I raise my hand and show him my tattoo. He nodded in recognition, then looks at Entitled Mom. Entitled Mom, this is just a tattoo. Now watch your language and stop with this. The boys, stepmom, and I are heading to the lake, and you already made us late by scheduling their speech therapy sessions like you did, just to cut into our time with them.
This jerk is evil, and so is your new wife. You, her, and this lady are trying to turn my babies against me.
She goes to grab the boys, but both me and Nice Dad block her from them. Nice Dad. Entitled Mom, that is enough. Leave us alone before I call my lawyer and the police and file charges. Entitled Mom, furious, her face burning, storms out of the building. Sweet Boy speaks up. Daddy, Mama was lying. This lady is nice and was showing me her tattoo when Mama made me fall. Nice Dad looks down at his boys, nodding, then turns to me. I am sorry for my ex-wife. She's been acting like this since I remarried, trying to find ways to keep the kids away from me and stepmom. Me. It's all right. At least these two are all right now. I look down at them. I'll see you two around, okay? Now go have fun with your daddy at the lake. You are going to have so much fun. They both smiled and Sweet Boy waved at me before walking outside with Nice Dad and his brother. And I went back to my computer, having to explain to my coworkers what took me so long. I hope to see those boys around again soon, hopefully away from their mother. Mr. Reddit, you have my permission to include this in future videos. You did make this awesome subreddit to do so. And thanks again, Army. Keep up the update. Saw the two Sweet Boys today when I was coming back from lunch. They were with their stepmom this time. She told me how much her husband and her appreciate me trying to stick up for Sweet Boy with Entitled Mom. Sweet Boy then came over to say hi. We talked real quick about his trip to the lake, and he and his little brother are soon going to have a baby brother or sister. Nice Dad and stepmom told them this during the trip as a surprise. Next we've got Entitled Parent lets kid treat wheelchair as a toy. You know the drill. I'm on mobile, and English is my one and only language. Let's go. Meet the cast. We've got me. We've got the idiot mom with no manners. We've got the entitled kid. Not super entitled, but still. We've got Dad, who is just a helpless husband. It was a normal Saturday night, and I was working at my job. I work at a major retail store. Not going to say the name, but it rhymes with souls. The rush we get on most Saturdays had calmed down, and my coworker and I were just straightening the floor. She works the registers while I'm a floor person. We were folding down the floor when Entitled Mom, Entitled Kid, and Dad came in. Now for context, our store has 2 wheelchairs for customers who need them to use freely. I have a particular protective stance on them, as my sister also uses one on her bad days due to her MS, and people like to misuse them. And here's where our fun story really begins. Entitled Kid was a boy of around 12 and had literally ran into the store, all smiles and laughs. Then his eyes zero in on the wheelchair. He goes to grab it, and I make my way over to the family and stand slightly in front of the wheelchair. Hello and welcome to our store. My name is Jamilton. Can I help you find anything? The kid backs off due to my arrival, while the parents tell me they're clothes shopping for Entitled Kid. They grab a cart and all head off towards the kids section. I go to check on the rest of the floor and to fold where needed. It was a little over 5 minutes later, I watched the kid zoom back, snatch the wheelchair, and take off. I'm ticked and was ready to chase after him, but a lady needed help getting something off a mannequin, so I put it out of my mind. An hour later, my coworker needed to take her break, and I offered to cover for her. She hadn't been gone for 2 minutes when who comes to check out? Yup, Entitled Mom, Entitled Kid, and Dad. But you know what isn't there? The wheelchair. I'm mad. Not only did he take a piece of equipment he honestly didn't need, but left it God knows where in the store. I'm not about to let that fly. Hello, did you find everything okay?
Yeah, but your kids' area is really messy.
Liar. My other coworker who works in that department is beyond OCD and never lets a mess sit. But I ignore that and press on to what I really want to know. I look at Entitled Kid. Where's the wheelchair? Entitled Kid is confused.
What?
The wheelchair I saw you take earlier. Where is it? If it's not in use, it has to be by the front door. His eyes go wide. He knows he's caught, but Entitled Mom doesn't get it.
My son doesn't know anything about a wheelchair. He isn't a disabled person. He's actually useful.
Wow, I can't believe she just said that. Neither can Dad, it seems, as he looks at his wife with a mixture of disgust and confusion. Honey, Entitled Kid was riding it.
Be quiet.
Okay, so now I know what's going on. Clearly, she knew her kid had used it, but didn't care about where he left it. I look back to Entitled Kid, and with my stern but still friendly customer voice, I tell him, please go bring it back. We have customers who come in that have to use them to get around. Entitled Kid just nods and scurries off back the way they came. Dad doesn't look irritated, but Entitled Mom is mad.
That was not your job to tell him what to do.
Ma'am, my job is to ensure all customers have their needs met while they are shopping. I can't do that if the crucial equipment for our handicapped customers is not where they can be easily accessed. Entitled Mom, giving up on trying to act clueless.
He was just playing with it. He wasn't hurting anyone.
Wheelchairs are not toys, ma'am, and he shouldn't be playing with them. She goes quiet, obviously trying to come up with something clever to throw back at me. Failing that, she goes the classic Karen response.
I want your manager.
Me, shrugging and calm as heck, as my manager on duty is a no BS type of person. No problem. Then you can explain to her how your kid was misusing store property, and you were trying to lie to me about him doing so. If you really want to push this further, I can ask for her to look at our security tapes. Before I grab my walkie, Dad puts his hands up in a defensive motion. That's not necessary. I apologize for my son and wife. Turns to Entitled Mom. Just stop. She's only doing her job, and I told you back there that Entitled Kid shouldn't have had it.
He was just playing.
Dad and me at the same time. It's not a toy. By the time I'm finished bagging their items, Entitled Kid has come back, pushing the wheelchair back to where he had taken it from. He rejoined his parents and said a quiet, "Sorry," to me before they all left the store. The Entitled Mom glaring daggers at me the whole way. I told my coworker when she got back, and we both had a laugh about it. Moral of the story: don't play with wheelchairs. Next we've got sushi and entitled Karens. This just happened, so I'm typing it up quick so I don't forget the details. I had just been to the movies to watch a so bad it's good zombie film, The Dead Don't Die, and I stopped off for some sushi with my brother on the way home. Yo Sushi for anyone who is wondering. At this sushi restaurant, the tables have a button you can press to get a waiter's attention. When you press it, a little red light comes on and they'll come straight over. Afterwards, you push it again and the light turns blue. There are signs on the tables that explain the system. Anyways, after we had been sitting there for a few minutes, two women came in and sat just across from us. It's hard to choose which one to call Karen, so let's just call them Karen 1 and Karen 2. Karen 1 was larger and louder, had the typical
"Bring me your manager"
haircut and acrylic nails. Karen 2 didn't talk much in this story, but was skinny and had a resting jerk face. She looked at everything in the restaurant like it was a personal insult to her. It was lunchtime and the restaurant was busy, so the waiters hadn't yet cleared the table they chose. A waiter apologized about this, but the Karens said it would be fine and said the waiter could clean around them. This sounded reasonable, and I felt a little relief because maybe these Karens weren't going to turn out to be the crazy Karens you hear about. I was wrong. When the waiter was gone, they spent their time complaining about how the table wasn't clean, even though the waiter had offered to clean it before they sat down, and it wouldn't have been more than 2 minutes wait. It was time for me and my brother to order, so we pressed the button on our table and our waiter came over. The waiter came over and started to take over when Karen 1, the larger of the two Karens, loudly interrupted.
I've been waiting here 10 minutes,
She started. She hadn't.
and nobody had come to take my order. What's wrong with this place?
The waiter tried to explain the system with the buttons and the red lights, but she didn't listen and instead started listing out her demands, pointing to items on the menu with her sausage-like fingers. If you could just wait a moment, said the waiter. I will be with you soon. This girl has already started giving me her order.
But I want my food now.
Karen 1 demanded. The waiter apologized to me for the interruption, but I just said to go ahead and take her order. He did, and because my light was still red, another waiter came over a minute later. While we were waiting for our food, I did hear them mumbling about how rude the waiter had been, but apart from that, the rest of the meal didn't have any incidents. If I hadn't seen the first part, I might have even assumed these were normal, polite human beings instead of raging, entitled people. Entitled mom at a local convention gets destroyed with insults and leaves teary-eyed. So yesterday, me and my friend, as Jacob, decided to go to a local convention. I was going to invite my ex, but she was on a date with her girlfriend, so no Joker and Panther. So I went with plan B. Jacob still hasn't gotten his crow costume, so no Joker and Crow either. So we decided to go as Red and Blue from Pokemon. We would prepare at my house and then go pick up my little cousin to come with us. She was feeling pretty sad about the whole uncle moving back to Puerto Rico with grandma, so he asked us to take her with us. We did, and she had a great time. Really needed that. Anyways, we got the costumes and thought that since these costumes aren't exactly outlandish, no one would notice or care. Boy, was I wrong. My cousin noticed and giggled. My neighbor noticed and was weirded out, etc. Anyways, we arrived and it was pretty packed. We got inside and noticed some cosplayers with actual talent, like this guy dressed up as Mysterio with a helmet that has lights and cotton. When we arrived, Jacob went off to do his own thing, and my cousin stayed right by my side through the entire thing. Jacob came back looking defeated because he tried hitting on a hot girl cosplaying as Sailor Moon and was told, "Maybe when you're a little bit bigger." Well, both of what you have. He was 5'11". She was looked like 6'2", and the other, well, you know it. So we were hanging out talking to other people when this kid who was like 13, dressed up as Sans, was going around insulting people, calling their costumes cheap and ugly. I saw him do it to 3 girls dressed up as Lana, Sia, and Linkle from Hyrule Warriors, and they just told him to leave him alone. Then he came to us. This is where the fun begins. Our cast. We've got me, Red. We've got Jacob, Blue. We've got my cousin. We've got the girl dressed up as Sia, my hero. We've got Sia's 2 sisters, Sister 1 and Sister 2. We've got Entitled Kid, who's Sans, and Entitled Mother. So let's begin. We were just hanging out, and then next thing you know, this small round boy just started laughing at us for no reason. It was also a very, very fake laugh. Jacob, what are you laughing about?
Those costumes are crap.
And that makes you better? How?
Because I put time and effort unlike yours.
This was a cornucopia of BS. His costume was just short jeans with a blue winter coat and pink sandals. That was it. Mine, however, obviously had time and effort put into it because I made myself look like the actual Red from the Pokemon games. I had the same hat, nearly the same jacket, nearly the same backpack, and more. Remember when I said that we met up at my house? We did that so my mom could apply hair gel on Jacob to make his haircut look like Blue's. and it came out looking pretty good. So, since your mom obviously made that one, that makes you better?
My mom did not make this.
Jacob. Yeah, sure, kid.
You have cheap, crappy costumes.
My cousin came back from the bathroom. Now it's important to mention that she has a lisp, and people always make fun of her for that. She's 13 and still has it somehow. My cousin. What's going on here? Entitled kid. Insert more fake laughing.
Where's your costume?
I don't have one. Entitled kid stopped laughing because he realized his insult didn't work.
Oh, that shirt looks horrendous.
So does that winter coat.
No, it doesn't.
He notices her lisp.
What the heck was wrong with that?
What do you mean? Entitled kid, fake laughing again.
You have a lisp? Seriously? How old are you? How embarrassing is it that at this age you still have a lisp?
Me. How embarrassing is it that you say our costumes are terrible, yet that's a crappy cosplay of Sans? You find it embarrassing to have a speech defect, yet forget that you are embarrassing yourself by telling stolen jokes. He then started going ballistic on us, but then out of nowhere, girl came in and started unloading on him. Girl says, I'm sorry, is this little jerk bothering you? Why, yes. He has been bothering me and my sisters nonstop.
Wow, watch out. It's the status symbol coming our way.
She takes off her mask. Wow, watch out. It's the depressed teen jerk that needs their parents to do everything.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Your costume is also very cheap.
What about yours, huh? And theirs. My costume is the best one here.
In case you haven't noticed, these two are perfect replicas of what they are cosplaying. We weren't, but still liked the compliment. She doesn't have a costume, probably because she just wants to tag along and look at people with their costumes. Ever heard of the word look? Oh wait, I forgot. Fake laughter.
What's so funny?
You probably didn't even graduate elementary school, so this must all be new to you. Entitled kid, now bursting red with anger.
Of course I graduated, you dumb.
She cuts him off. Then stop acting like an 8-year-old who loses a debate or an argument. It's embarrassing.
You guys are jerks.
He then runs off with tears. I say, wow, that finally got him. You definitely got a mouth. She says, thanks. You're welcome. I didn't really mean to say it like a compliment, but either way, that was awesome. Oh, okay then. You put some serious dedication into that costume. I mean, dyeing your hair white for this is pretty cool. She's actually blushing. Oh, I actually dyed it once summer started. I just like white. That's even cooler. We then started talking about a lot of things. We had a lot in common. Everyone was fine and peaceful until entitled mom comes in. Jacob. Danger incoming. Me, cousin, and girl look, and it's the entitled mom with entitled kid.
Who insulted my son?
Technically, all of us.
Why would you insult him about his costume? It took him time, you know.
Stop shouting. And also, because he insulted us about our costumes and then calls his the best.
He is just telling the truth.
Okay.
Okay, what?
Okay. Explain to me why I care.
Because it serves as a reminder of how you should keep your ego in check. Jerk.
Girl says, our ego in check? Our ego? Lady, your son is bragging about his obviously crappy outfit and insulting the people who actually had time and effort put into them. So if anything, you should keep your son's ego in check. Seriously, it's the size of Jupiter.
Did you just tell me how to parent?
Yes, don't tell me you're just as ignorant as your son, who probably didn't graduate elementary.
Are you calling me stupid?
Yes, you are about as smart as a donkey. Actually, that would be an insult to donkeys.
You jerk! I'll get you kicked out of here. I'll call security. I'll sue and make sure you live on the streets.
Go call security. They will call you an idiot. Sue me. Your lawyer and the judge will call you an idiot and end up homeless. The poor people will call you ignorant too. Entitled mom is now dripping tears.
I don't need any of this. Entitled kid, let's go.
But, Mommy, I wanna stay.
I am not letting you stay with these man children.
Actually, she's a woman, and so are you. Entitled mom then scoffs and drags her child out of their mid-tantrum. I turned back to the girl. So, that just happened. You did pretty good there. She's blushing. Oh, really? Thanks. I'm noticing the red cheeks. She's still blushing. What is it? I basically turn on the charm. Well, I couldn't help but notice those red cheeks of yours. Are you perhaps in love? She's embarrassed a bit. No, I'm not. Me putting my hand on her cheek. Listen, if you want a date, I can give you one. Let's exchange phone numbers. She gets excited. Oh my god, really? I was just too afraid to ask since I always find a way to mess up my interactions with a hot guy. But holy crap, thank you so much. Jacob was staring with absolute disbelief. So was my cousin. We exchanged phone numbers and Sister 1 and Sister 2 come in. Sister 1. What's this? Girl is surprised. Oh, nothing. I tell her, your sister just got a boyfriend. Sister 2. Oh, is that so? Well, whispers to girl, he looks like a bad boy. Perfectly suits you. Sister 1. Come on, let's go. I want to go get something to eat. Okay, I'll be there soon. We then set up plans for a date on Friday, tomorrow. She left and I turned to my still shocked friend and cousin. Jacob is stammering. How? You looking to get a girlfriend? It's that easy. Shut up, dude. Cousin, ever want a boyfriend? Just do that and it works. Oh, okay. We stayed for a while and then left, mainly because the hair gel was wearing off. We went back home, told my dad, who just looked at me and said, look at this little guy, acting like he's the ish. Don't mess it up. Life only gives you so many chances. Jacob was picked up by his parents and we went to my uncle's place to drop my cousin off. She really needed that. She has been feeling down lately, so I'm glad my uncle asked me to take her. So that was the story. I'm going on a date tomorrow, so wish me luck. The update is already out. Update. I had an amazing date. So I went out on a date yesterday and had the time of my life. I seriously forgot what it's like to go on a date, a first date at that. So here's what happened. My dad bought me a nice leather jacket and we waited for around 4 p.m. to go to her house. My dad dropped me off there, wished me luck, and left. I knocked on her door and her sister came out, looked at me, and said, "One moment." I waited and her parents showed up to the door, shook my hands, and allowed me to come inside. When I got in, I saw her other sister making dinner for them, the other one going up to her room, and no sign of my girlfriend. Her dad says that she was just getting ready with makeup, so I waited. Her mom brought me some water. We talked for a bit and found out her dad is pretty much a comic book fan and a rock and roll fan. He loves AC/DC. I tell him that I actually play drums and he looks at me with a smile. I tell him I have quite a few Marvel comics and a lot of DC comics. Her mom is also a superhero fan, but she seems to like the movies more than the comics. All the while, I'm thinking to myself, these people are exactly my parents. Anyways, my girlfriend finally comes downstairs wearing makeup, heels, and a beanie. I walk over to her, take off the beanie, and say, "You don't need this." She told me that people would be weirded out if they saw her dyed hair. I told her that we are in America. The amount of crap you see people do is astronomical, so she doesn't need to worry about having white hair. Anyways, I tell her dad that for the date we are going to an Italian restaurant where my cousin works as the manager. He says that he will drive us there, so we get in the car and he starts driving. We talk along the way, talking a lot about games, anime, movies, etc. I bring up the conversation and her dad laughs because his daughter has already told him about it. He drops us off, but before I leave, he quickly gives me the dad talk. You know what it is. What's your intentions with my daughter? If anything happens to her, call me. Don't get cocky. Have fun. He leaves, and then it's just the two of us. We go inside the Italian restaurant where my cousin comes out and greets my girlfriend. He then showed us to our seats, not before pulling me aside and saying, "You got a girlfriend? Good job, especially one who dyes her hair." I just chuckle and sit down with my girlfriend. What felt like minutes was actually hours. We were having so much fun talking to each other and eating that we completely forgot what time it was. It was 9 p.m. and we were getting tired and decided that would be the end of our first date. I paid the bill and waited outside with my girlfriend for my dad to pick me up. My dad was on his way while her dad was already there. Before she left, I tested my luck and kissed her. One of the real man kiss, for what felt like 12 seconds. She was shocked, but she didn't complain. Meanwhile, her dad was just awkwardly waiting for it to end so he could leave. She left, kissed me goodbye. That's 2 kisses on a first date, and I waited for my dad to pick me up. Needless to say, that was an amazing night and would definitely want to do it again. Love her. Next we've got the witch, the stroller, and the roller coaster. Hi, Mr. Reddit. I love your videos, and I have a crazy story for you. I'm on mobile and wasn't involved, but just a witness to the whole thing. This happened yesterday while I was on a new roller coaster at my amusement park called the Steel Curtain. Me and 4 of my friends were getting ready to go on when a girl gets stuck in the car. So they stop the ride to help this girl out. Enter Karen, her 5-year-old kid, and a stroller. Note, just to let people know, this ride had an elevator for wheelchairs and strollers to avoid at this situation, but it was on the other side of the platform. Karen started yelling at a worker weaving some sort of paper in his face.
Why did your coworker send me on the wrong side? I'm supposed to be on the other side of the platform. This paper says that I'm allowed to be on the other side.
Ma'am, please calm down. We're just trying to figure out the situation. I will help you in a minute. Come on in and stay on the platform while we help her out, and then we will help you with your stroller.
Karen, insert noise here.
No, I need help now.
Then Witch and her kid tried to get the stroller over on the other side themselves. The employees helped her and her kid when they saw what was happening. Karen screamed at them that they were stupid and will get them fired. Was that the end? Big fat nope. When they got the girl unstuck from the car, the employees had to run a few tests on the car so that wouldn't happen again. While they were busy, Karen and her kid sit up in front and were waiting for them to start the ride without running tests so no one would get hurt. Employee:
Ma'am, why are you sitting in the front row?
I'm supposed to be up here. Now start the ride or I will call the manager. I know the owner of the park and won't hesitate to call him and get you fired. And not to work anywhere in town again.
The employees kicked her off the ride and also had to call security. I don't like thinking while waiting in line and also having a panic attack what the heck was going through her mind. The ride was awesome. Next we've got entitled teacher bullied me into lying. Hey Mr. Reddit and Army. This is my second post on the subreddit, but this time it's about my 2nd grade resource teacher. I was reminded of this when I saw a similar story in the last video and thought it would be cathartic to share, since it still makes me angry. Our cast. We've got Mrs. P, our entitled resource teacher. We've got Nice Teacher, my nice 2nd grade teacher. We've got Entitled Kid, and we've got me. If you haven't already guessed, this happened back in 2nd grade. I was a tiny kid, and while I had some behavioral issues, I never bullied anyone. Anyway, during lunch one day, Nice Teacher pulls me aside before I enter the cafeteria and asks me if I had been mean to Entitled Kid, my classmate, and called her names. I genuinely had no idea what Nice Teacher was talking about, and I said as much. I couldn't remember doing anything like that. Nice Teacher asked me one more time if I was sure, and I said yes. Nice Teacher considered the issue resolved for now and let me go eat my lunch.
I had just sat down in the cafeteria with my friends from class when I feel a hard grip on my arm. I look up to see Mrs. P, my old bat of a teacher who I never liked much. I had some sort of resource class with her sometimes. It was a long time ago, and I'm still not sure why or what it was for. Without a word of explanation, Mrs. P dragged me off the bench, away from my lunch, out of the cafeteria, and into the bathroom, where I saw entitled kid crying for no good reason that I knew of. Later on, I figured that when she didn't get the results she wanted from nice teacher, she went crying to Mrs. P. Looking back, this seemed really shady to me, to pull me into the bathroom when it could have been handled in the principal's office or with nice teacher present. Nope, Mrs. P decided she'd handle this her way.
Entitled kid says that you bullied her and called her names. Why did you do that? Apologize to her now!
Like I said, I was a tiny kid, and I've always had problems with anxiety and confrontation, and was terrified of getting into trouble. I was confused as to why this was happening when nice teacher had already handled it, and why entitled kid was blaming me for something I didn't do. I really, honestly didn't recall being mean to her in any way. Mrs. P, I really didn't. Mrs. P cut me off. I'll never forget what she said next, word for word. She leaned down, got right into my face, shaking her finger at me, and said,
And don't tell me you didn't do it, because I know you did.
I was shocked. I really didn't do anything. Why wouldn't she believe me? I had never bullied anyone before. I felt so terrified and helpless. I just wanted to get out of there and go back to lunch with my friends. I knew Mrs. P wouldn't let me leave until she got the answer she was satisfied with, and if I kept telling the truth, I was worried she'd drag me down to the principal's office, or worse, call my mom. Even though I had done nothing wrong, what little kid isn't terrified of that? I felt frozen, and I was on the verge of tears. I did the only thing I knew would get me away from that situation fast. I lied. I was mean to entitled kid, and called her names. I was so close to crying that it was hard to talk. Mrs. P had a smug, satisfied look on her face now.
Good. Now apologize,
she demanded. I turned to this pathetic, sobbing entitled kid who was twice my size and said I was sorry. Mrs. P warned me never to do it again and let me go. I didn't finish my lunch because I felt so scared and sick to my stomach. I wish I could say this story has a happy ending that got entitled kid what was coming to her, or a nice teacher swooped in and put Mrs. P in her place. But no. For years this has infuriated me, knowing that my classmate lied to get me in trouble, and that an adult responsible for working with young kids took advantage of my naivete and intimidated her to the point where she felt she couldn't stand up for herself or tell the truth. I had to lie to escape a scary situation. The worst part is that Mrs. P got away with it. Back when I was in high school, in another school district, thank God, I saw in the news that she had even been elected Teacher of the Year. I've done what I could to just move on, and I hope that karma catches up with that old bat in time. And our final story of the day, entitled Mom Wants My Sister Fired Because the Fryer is Out of Order. This isn't my story, but one my sister told me that happened to her. My sister is 17 and is working her first job at Sesame Place. This was her third day on the job, and she had completed her work training the day before. She's a hostess at one of the restaurants inside the park. Sometimes she will do her hostess job, and other times she will go into the kitchen to bake funnel cakes and stuff like that. She wants her college major to be culinary. This is the cast of the story. Entitled Mom, we've got Polite Kid, got Poor Dad, we've got My Sister, we've got Clumsy Manager, and Cashier. The fryer that day used to make funnel cake went out of order, while Polite Kid placed his, just so you know. Also, this isn't a 0 to 100 stereotype story, as the woman was already ticked off before walking into the restaurant. Polite Kid arrives to the counter, and the following dialogue occurs. Hi, can I please have 2 medium cakes, a small Sprite, and a large funnel cake? Cashier. Yes, buddy, I'll get that for you now. That will be this much. I don't know the amount. Okay, Here's my mommy's card. Polite kid puts pin in card reader. Polite kid gets all 3 drinks and is told that my sister will bring them the cake in about 5 minutes. Right after the order is placed, the fryer used to make the funnel cake breaks, as in the tube that takes the used oil out of the fryer got clogged and they had to unclog it. My sister went out to polite kid's table to let them know what had happened. Sister: Hi, I just came to let you know that the funnel cake will be a bit late because of some issues with the fryer. If you would like, I could give you 3 a free refill while you wait. Poor dad: Sounds good. As long as we get our cake, then you… Surprise, surprise. Entitled mom turns on ghetto mode.
What you mean we ain't getting our cake? Give me my money then if we ain't gonna get it.
Polite dad: Yo, babe, she said that it's coming a little late. Not that we aren't getting it.
I said give me my dang money now, or I'll get your jerk butt fired. Now, where's your boss at? You gone?
Mind you, this is my sister's first day on the floor and never worked a job before, so she didn't know how to react, and she was tearing up and apologizing to them over and over again and getting 2 different reactions, one from each parent. Luckily, the manager hears the commotion and storms out to the dining floor and slams a $10 bill on the table. Here's your refund. Now get the heck out.
I paid?
Amount less than $10.
For the cake. Why are you giving me more?
So you can shut up and leave. You mess up every employee's day that works in this restaurant, but you ain't messing with my new employees. Look at her. You ruined her day with your BS. You gone. Security will show you the door to leave the park. You're not welcome back here anymore. The manager wasn't taking any crap today. Within 5 minutes, they showed up and escorted the family out of the park. 2 days later, poor dad calls my sister's restaurant to apologize for his wife's behavior, how the park was supposed to be polite kids present for moving on from kindergarten to 1st grade. He also joked about if the funnel cake was ready yet. Thank you for reading, and I know this wasn't anything crazy, but it's 100% real, and that's all that matters to me. Have a nice weekend, everyone. How to get me to hate the gym. I won't take entitled mom's money for a water bottle. I've been stalking this subreddit for a bit because I really didn't know how people got into these messes, but now I get it. So, we have a cast. We've got me. We've got entitled mom. We've got entitled kids 1 and 2. We've got the employee, the manager, and the gym goer. Context. So, I'm 16, and my mother has been going to a certain gym about 5 years now. And about 2 months ago, I started tagging along. She goes to her Zumba class for an hour, and I do whatever. The gym recently went under a mega renovation that added a kids zone, and most people leave their kids there. This matters. Along with the kids zone, they added a half-hour circuit you can do, full of equipment for a full-body workout. Another important detail is that I carry 2 hydro flasks. One is for water, and the other is for water mixed with a weight loss tablet. The weight loss tablet one is a bright blue, gradient to white, and then red with a star graphic I got a few months back from an event for our school. So, I'm at the circuit. It's around 6:45 p.m. and I'm on the elliptical. And entitled mom is 2 machines down on another machine. Entitled kid is sitting on the couch next to the circuit on entitled mom's iPhone XS Max. He's chillin' and eyeing my gradient hydro flask. I don't blame him. I love my bottle. Eventually, entitled mom gets off the circuit and heads to entitled kid. I was still going, listening to the Gus and Eddie podcast.
Excuse me?
Yes, ma'am?
My son was just wondering where you bought that bottle.
Oh, I got it a few months ago at an event. The bottle is custom made. At this point, I hear entitled kid whine in the background. He really wants this water bottle.
Oh, well, my son really wants the bottle. I'll pay you $20.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I can't sell it. It's one of a kind, and I personally really like it.
How about 30?
I'm sorry, but I'm not planning on selling it.
Look, my son really wants that bottle for himself. How much do you want?
I really appreciate the offer, but I really can't sell it. At this point, entitled mom got a little flustered, and entitled kid was starting to get a pouty face.
You already have two. I know that you're a heavy kid, but you really don't need to.
In her defense, I'm 6'2" and 300 pounds. At this point, entitled mom softly placed her hand on the bottle. I stepped a little closer to her and the bottle. Entitled kid was still in the back, pouty as ever.
Understand that my son isn't going to stop complaining about this until he gets one. Just make his day and let him have your water bottle.
This is where I messed up with my words. In general, I try to stay respectful with adults, as of my large stature, I tend to quickly attract negative attention. I was trying to avoid conflict and was intent on walking away into the restroom with my bottle. Ma'am, that's an issue with you and your parenting style. I would really appreciate if you would just let me be.
You are stepping way out of bounds. You have no idea our situation at home or our finances. Give my son that bottle.
Entitled mom's soft hold of my bottle turned into a snatch as she turns back and gives entitled kid the bottle. Entitled kid's pouty face disappears and he giggles at my dumbfounded face. He twists off the cap and puts his whole mouth on the rim, taking a big gulp of my mango-flavored weight loss water. His face immediately recoils and he spits out the water and yells in disgust. He tosses my bottle down onto the floor. This attracts the attention of a few gym goers as the bottle clangs on the floor, emptying out the yellow-tinted water. I audibly snicker at him, freaking out, while I feel it is well justified. Entitled mom doesn't think so. Thus, with the attention of a few gym goers, she begins to speak louder.
Are you laughing at my son's pain? My angel is choking, and you're just standing there laughing. You're awful. Leave me alone.
And she grabs her son and my bottle and storms off, her son still holding the cap as he cried. At this point, I really wanted to grab her and drag her to an employee, but I would definitely be stopped by the people around me. So I opted to run ahead of her and get to the employee at the front desk first. Meanwhile, one gym goer was on the side, watching everything. Employee. Is everything okay? I heard a bottle drop over by the circuit. No, that woman is trying to steal my water bottle, and she's leaving the gym. Entitled mom tries to ignore employee as she power walks by. Employee steps out of her desk and stands in front of entitled mom. Employee coaxes entitled mom over to the desk where I'm standing. Employee says, "So, OP, tell me what happened." This woman attempted to steal my water bottle after I told her several times that I did not want to give it to her or sell it to her.
That's not true. My son had it in his chair with him when he tried to take it, and he spilled it all over the floor. I tried to leave, but he blocked me and ran over to you.
Her voice sounded panicked and scared, so naturally, the employee believed her. Sir, you need to leave this woman alone. She clearly owns the bottle. I will not hesitate to call security. I didn't say anything. I just nodded quietly. I didn't want to cause more of a scene that had already happened. As entitled mom walked away, the gym goer just stepped by me in front of the desk. He was an older gentleman and spoke in an intense tone.
Ma'am, I can account for him. I saw the entire thing. She stole the bottle. It's his.
Entitled mom, now flustered as ever, turned back and yelled,
Can't you leave me and my son alone?
Isn't there security cameras here? Employee says, Yes, but only manager has access. Would you like me to call him? Yes, please. As entitled mom goes on her phone angrily, entitled kid now crying harder and harder, I thank gym goer for his help, and God bless this man for saving my skin. Manager shows up. Hi, employee informed me what happened. I checked the security tapes, and ma'am, that is his water bottle. Please return it immediately or we will call security. Finally, entitled mom returns my bottle reluctantly, but entitled kid still has my cap hidden away somewhere. I really don't care anymore. I'm just happy I have the bottle.
And the bottle cap?
I don't know. It wasn't on me.
What about your son?
I just got him out of the kids zone. He doesn't have anything.
The manager knew she was lying and gave a stern look. Thus, entitled mom left promptly, but not before entitled kid dropped my cap on the floor. I could imagine at this point, entitled mom was so equally tired as me that she heard it fall but just kept walking. Finally, I had my bottle back and I thanked the employee and manager and shook Jim Goer's hand. After my mother came out of her class, I had to explain everything to her and she heard it from the manager. Since I'm a minor, they asked her if she wanted to do anything about it and she said no. I went back to the circuit, grabbed my stuff and my other hydro flask and left. Hopefully, I don't see her again. Next we've got,
Surely the no kids rule doesn't include my kid.
this story happened in the context of wedding planning, so I wasn't sure if it belongs here, but a member of my family definitely qualified as an entitled parent at that time, so I figured I'd share this with you. After my partner and I got engaged, we found a great venue in a beautiful part of the city my partner grew up in and set our hearts on it. We booked a date to have the wedding there a little over a year away. There was a fairly strict limit on how many guests we could invite, max 78, since the dinner hall at this venue was quite small, but that was fine with us. However, when we began writing the guest list, it became clear quite quickly that we would need to put some rules in place to be comfortably inside the guest limit. A lot of our cousins have children, about 10 kids in total across all of them, which would have inflated the guest list very quickly. So we decided on a no kids rule. I should mention as well that in the country where we live, it is not at all unusual to have a kids-free wedding, but as I was about to find out, some people are not okay with this. I mentioned the no kids rule to several family members before sending out any official save the dates or invites, so they would be aware. Enter a member of my family, the entitled parent of this story. Entitled parent had a son who was about 6 months old at the time and was apparently mortified that we could have such a rule. It would mean that they would have to be separated from their kid, who would be 18 months old by the time the wedding came around, for all of a number of hours, and clearly we were horrendous humans for even considering asking that of them. So I get a phone call from another family member asking whether the no kids rule really applied to all kids and asking if we could make an exception for entitled parent because she was very upset. At this stage, entitled parent couldn't even be bothered to talk to us directly. Instead, they moaned to others in the family and seemed to paint us out to be pretty grim people. I explained that this was impossible due to how many kids there were in the family, and that we were not willing to remove 10 of our closest adult friends and family to make space for our cousins' kids. After a 2-hour phone call, involving me repeating myself several times that we were not going to make an exception for entitled parent's kid, and listening to threats of family members not coming if we don't make an exception, things calmed down and went quiet. For a while. We sent out the save the dates by email about 10 months before the wedding to make sure everyone had time to sort their travel plans, since for my family this would be a destination wedding. The day after the emails were sent, I get a text from entitled parent which read,
Did you just forget to send me an email? Or are you just being presumptuous because I have a kid?
I was taken aback by this because I thought it had already been sorted out and explained. After some more rude texts, I sent entitled parent a screenshot of the email I had in fact sent to them, including the timestamp for evidence. All they said was,
Well, what is the age limit anyway?
No apology, just trying to pick a fight. I ignored the message. Things went quiet again, until the invites went out. Lo and behold, I get more messages from entitled parent. Here is a paraphrased version of the things that were said across several conversations with both entitled parent and a few other family members who seemed to think that my partner and I were in the wrong, all just lumped in under entitled parent for brevity.
Are you really not going to make any exceptions? I don't want to leave my baby at home.
Why can't the kid's father take care of him while you come to the ceremony?
Because we both want to come and bring our baby. Why can't we?
Because there's a limit on how many guests we can have.
But infants surely don't take up any room. What's your problem?
They still take up a seat. And how would we explain it to the other parents who have made childcare arrangements or chosen not to come because of the no kids rule?
If there are no other kids coming, then there is space for my kid.
That isn't how any of this works.
Isn't there any part of the event where kids are welcome?
I'm ignoring the blatant attempt at emotional manipulation.
No. Fine then, we won't come.
Okay. Not the most exciting entitled parent story of all time, I know, but it caused a lot of angst between a few members of my family and my partner and I. All of our other family members with children either outright said that they wouldn't be able to come because of the rule or made childcare arrangements. It was only this one entitled parent who made a fuss and dragged other family members into it. My partner and I believe that it is 100% each individual's choice whether they want to attend a wedding or not, and we are not offended that entitled parent and some other family members decided not to come and instead want to stay at home with their kids. What we didn't appreciate was the unnecessary moaning and general entitled behavior that was thrown our way. Entitled parent's kid really is lovely and sweet, having now met them a few times, and things are fine between us and my family now, but it felt tense and unnecessarily upsetting for far too long, all over something as simple as, yes, the no kids rule includes your kids. Next we've got entitled parent thinks dog hurt her kid. Hey Mr. Reddit, I love watching your videos every day. This is my first time posting a story like this, so sorry if my editing or grammar is bad. This happened last week, but I wanted to wait till everything was settled before telling the story. Also, sorry if it's a bit long. Our cast. We've got me, we've got Sumo. No lines, but he is in the story. We've got Good Kid, we've got Entitled Mom, we've got the actual criminal, and the cop. So, I'm on my usual walk with my dog, Sumo. He is a Samoyed, and most see him as a bit too hyper. But that's only because he is a big fluff ball that's still young. He just turned 2. As we go along, I hear a kid screeching and look around a bit confused. Sumo goes nuts hearing it too. Sadly, I am a petite lady, so he breaks free while thrashing around. I panic and chase him. Sumo, no! Bad dog! He went into an open yard and I was hesitant to follow, but I assumed he was just after whoever was screaming. I go up the drive carefully, yelling, "Hello? I'm just after my dog." Then I see this kid who's maybe 5 or 6, thrashing in this massive man's arms. The kid's the one screeching. I had no clue who this man was or why this kid was acting like this. I decided just to ignore it and go to Sumo. He is barking and trying to get the kid. I look around, baffled as I grab his leash and try my best to drag the dog off. "Sorry about this, sir."
No! Stranger! He is stranger!
I freeze and stare at this man as he moves back, my dog barking and trying to get back to the kid. The man says,
Don't listen to him. He's just mad I won't let him pet your dog.
I squint a bit as we could hear the screams for a good minute before. He was screaming before my dog got here though.
Well, that's because he dropped his ice cream.
He made me drop it! Stranger danger!
I sighed a bit and stood there awkwardly. I have met some very jerky kids that would do stuff like this, but at the time, this didn't feel right. Look, it's okay to let him down. My dog's big, but he is friendly.
I don't think so. He is gonna be punished for throwing a fit. Now get out of my yard.
The strange man moved back from me again. If I bothered him so much, why not just go inside the house? Look, I don't know you or this kid, but if you are only holding him because of my dog, then put him down. The man froze and the kid kept screaming loudly. How neighbors didn't come out, I will never know. The man then went to sprint off, kid still in his arms. I stare a bit, shocked, and let the dog I have go, knowing he can catch up faster than me. Sumo jumped and knocked the man to his side.
Get this dog off me!
The kid kicks the man hard, and he finally lets go. The kid bolts to his house, and I don't blame him. I stare at the man, absolutely livid. What the heck is wrong with you? Why the heck were you in this yard? Who the heck are you? Each question I gave got louder and louder. Soon I hear a car pull up and hear what I thought was a worried parent, but I soon find out it's an entitled one.
What the heck are you both doing in my yard? Get that filthy mutt out of here. I am allergic. Allergic!
I can't do that. He's keeping this man here.
Man? I don't care about that man. I want you and your mutt out of my yard. Now!
Lady, please. That guy was messing with your kid.
My baby? You? That man? And your mutt hurt my baby?
No, only him. Before I can explain, 2 cop cars pull up. I stare, baffled, and even entitled mom looks over to them.
Oh, what the heck? I didn't call you.
Cop says, "A neighbor did, miss. They said they heard your kid yelling." I sighed a bit, glad neighbors had done something, but the fact they waited so long, sad. Oh, thank goodness. This man here is dangerous.
Yes, and so is her filthy mutt. Get it out of my yard, now.
Lady, for the last time, my dog didn't hurt your kid. He saved him.
A filthy mutt saved my baby? Nonsense. Get them out. Out!
The cop says, "Ma'am, please calm down." He moved my dog off the man and cuffed him. Then he went to cuff me. "Sorry, miss, but since she is the homeowner, we have to believe her story." But I didn't do anything. Just as they begin to move me away, the kid bolts back out. "Wait, she didn't do anything." The cop paused and the mom glared at the kid.
Sweetie, the grown-ups are talking. Go back inside.
No, that lady and her doggy stopped the bad man.
She must have told you to say that. Her filthy mutt's dangerous. It attacked this man, after all.
The cops looked at each other, and the cop that cuffed me told me to wait for about 5 minutes. He went to neighbors and asked them. Both said all they saw was my dog jump on the man in the yard. When the cop told the mom this.
I still want to charge her for trespassing. She shouldn't have been in my yard.
Seriously, lady? If my dog hadn't ran back here, your kid would have been in trouble.
Yeah, she helped me, Mommy.
I don't care. Get out of my yard. And you, back inside.
The kid just stood there crossing his arms. The cop that had me sighed. "Look, miss, we understand you are upset, but what if we just ticket her?"
Fine, whatever. Just get out.
She then picked up her kid.
And you. Next time, listen to Mummy, and don't go outside without a grown-up ever again.
Okay, Mommy. Bye, nice lady. Bye, Mutt.
I wondered what kind of parent leaves a kid alone, then gets mad they decide to go outside. I also wanted to be mad he called my dog a mutt, but it was pretty cute. I then got the ticket from the cops just before she closed herself into her house. "Sorry about that. Some people are just ungrateful. You can take your dog. Just be more careful. Some jerks would make sure your dog got put down for attacking the creep it pinned. Trust me, I have seen it." I stared in shock and nodded. I had never been so grateful to be put in handcuffs. He quickly undid them and cut them away. "Thanks, officer. But what about the fine? Do I really have to pay it?" "I didn't put a fine amount and just wrote it for show. Head on home while we finish things off here." And so I did. Then the entitled mom came to apologize, but only because her precious baby kept asking her to. He was there too and gave me a hug. She said I could come by anytime, just no dogs. I shrugged a bit and told her it was fine. I was just glad he was safe. And our final story of the day. Entitled Brat Won't Move, gets a face full of manure. Then accidentally got entitled Mom. Hello, Mr. Reddit. I have been watching your videos since mid-May. Now my cousin gave me permission to post this as it involves both of us. Not on mobile. English is my native language. Grammar not so good, as Ralph Wiggum from The Simpsons would say, "Me fail English, that's impossible." Let's start off with a little background. My uncle was a farmer and raised pigs. Sometime in the late 90s, my aunt and uncle divorced. It was quick, and my cousin stayed with his dad, my uncle. Now, my uncle dated several women over the few years. Some were nice, some not so. But this one woman had 2 kids. Both were entitled. 1 boy and 1 girl. 1 male and 1 female. The 3 of them gave us no end of troubles every time we were working on the farm. He would go on to marry the woman in 2006. Why, I don't know. But on with the story. For the cast, we have... forget it. We all know the names by now. This happened in the summer of 2004. The 2 of us wanted to go fishing, so we got the bright idea to go out to the farm and hit several places where we knew would be worms and crickets. Sue us, we were cheap back then, just being 22. So we head on out to the farm, mind you, it's early, like 5 a.m. For my uncle, cousin, and myself, this is nothing new due to our jobs not necessarily dealing with working on the farm. My uncle was happy to see us, though he knew we were coming over. So by the time we get there, it's nearly 7:30.
Boys, I could use some help, he said.
Oh, cousin said, and just raised an eyebrow.
Yeah, I'm going to move several sows and their piglets from the rearing chambers to a new stall on the other side of the farm. The chamber needs to be cleaned. Help, and I'll throw in $50 each.
We're in, we both said at the same time. The move took an hour, a half a bottle of aspirin between the 3 of us due to the high-pitched squeals of pigs when you move them via a small trailer. With that done, my uncle goes off to do something near the house while I wait for my cousin to show up with a tractor and a manure spreader. So he shows up and we get to work shoveling. Not halfway through, the brat shows her face.
You 2 stink,
she said.
Really?
My cousin asked, sniffing his pits.
I'm not surprised. It's a hot day.
No, you smell like poo.
She said something else, but I'm keeping this clean. Really? I drawled out.
You won't catch me in there cleaning that stuff.
Well, if you don't move, you're going to be wearing it, I said.
You wouldn't dare.
He would.
I don't believe it. Uncle won't allow it,
she said. Please move. If you don't, he's going to throw that full shovel of crap on you, cousin stated. She folded her arms and smirked at us. So I shared a look with my cousin. With a shrug of his shoulders, I rear back the shovel, making it look like I was going to drop the load back on the ground. Nope. I flung it out the door and all over the brat. It went all over her. It was in her hair. It was at this time that she let out a blood-curdling scream and ran off. Should have listened, I said. Cousin only sighed. Several minutes later, entitled Mom shows up. We didn't know it as she had approached the same door her daughter did and got a surprise when my cousin threw another shovel full of it out. We stood there surprised. She came out of nowhere and was in the process of saying something, but was now throwing up, I assume from the smell, but I suspect some may have gotten into her mouth. Then tries to run off, but was dry heaving along the way. We were done with the chamber around 10:30 to 11 a.m. and spread everything around an unused area as pig manure is too acidic for crops. So we drop off the spreader in the shed and head off to find my uncle, who was trying so hard to maintain a stern face, but was failing. He was more amused than anything.
What happened with Brad and Mom?
He asked. So we told him the truth. It was at this point he lost it and started laughing hard.
You know your dad would have done the same thing, he told me.
He's right, my dad would have. Both of us got the $50 plus another $50 for teaching the 2 entitled jerks a lesson on farming, especially when poo is being flung. Both have left us alone every time we worked the farm up until a year's stay in DOC and my uncle's death in 2014. Edit. We did go fishing and had a nice fish fry for dinner that night. Edit 2. Birthing and rearing chambers were like maybe 400 to 500 yards from the house. Entitled teacher joins forces with my bullies and gets owned by my superhero mom. Hi, Mr. Reddit. I've been following your channel for a while now, and your videos really help me get my day started off with a smile, and I would be more than thrilled if you could possibly feature this in one of your videos. Please be advised, this will be a long post, so grab yourself a drink, sit back, and enjoy the story. Long-time lurker, first-time post ever on Reddit. English is my first language, and I'm on my PC. Also, please be gentle about any spelling mistakes. This story took place a long time ago, so I will describe it to the best of my ability. Backstory. When I was in school, I dealt with a lot of issues ranging from ADHD, anxiety, depression, and an anxiety-linked condition that resulted in me losing my hair. Due to this, I had many bare spots in my hair that most of the time I was able to cover by putting my hair in an updo, but there were other times it was so bad that I had to have special permission to wear a hat to school to cover up the damage. Because of this, I was severely bullied by my peers on a daily basis through grade school to high school, but by far, middle school was the worst of it. Every single day, I would be stalked down the hallways by my bullies from class, to enduring treatment, from getting my books knocked out of my hands, being called numerous mean names, and even being tripped and pushed to the hard tile floor, along with various other things. There were even times where I wasn't even safe from it at home, due to many of the bullies living in my neighborhood, and any chance they got, they would torment me at home as well before being chased off. Our cast. We've got me, Peachaboo. We've got Mom, my superhero of a mother. Miss Trunch, the entitled parent. We've got Miss Honey, the nice teacher. We've got Ted, all-around horrible person, main bully. And we've got the principal. He was the okay principal who after this incident was a huge ally. Our story. As I stated above, out of all the years I went through this, middle school by far was the worst, particularly 7th grade. Here where I live, a week or so before classes, we come to school for orientation to meet our teachers, get our schedules, school supply lists, so on and so forth. The day of orientation, I was already nervous at the thought of seeing my classmates, but my mother did what she could to soothe my nerves and told me not to worry, that she would be with me all the way. We made it to school, and after learning where my classrooms are, we go to meet my 2 teachers for the year. First, we came to my first teacher's classroom and met Miss Honey. She's all smiles and sunshine and makes me feel welcome, and even complimented me on my new glasses that I had just gotten a few days earlier, which made me smile from ear to ear. Next was Miss Trunch, and at first she didn't seem entitled at all. In fact, she even hit it off with my mom, who then had a bit of a heart-to-heart with her about the things I struggle with, including the relentless bullying. Miss Trunch, after listening to my mother's concerns, took my hands and reassured her with a smile and said,
"Don't you worry about a thing. Your daughter is safe here with me and Miss Honey, and we will take very good care of her."
After all the orientation was done, me and my mother left and went back to school shopping, and for the first time in a very long time, I was actually feeling positive about my first day of school. Little did I know that this feeling would be very, very short-lived. First day of 7th grade begins, and for a while, all is well. I really love Miss Honey and her classes. She mainly taught science and math, and despite my learning disability, difficulty to focus, and all-around hate of math in general, she is patient with me and really believes in my ability to apply myself and learn the material. Miss Trunch, however, soon showed that she was nowhere near as patient. She taught both history and English. Back in those years, due to my difficulty in focusing, literature was a really big struggle for me, especially if the subject didn't interest me. In present day, I'm a huge nerd, history buff, and bookworm. It's just back then, it was just a struggle in general. Like I was saying, Miss Trunch soon showed me she was nowhere near as patient as my other teacher, and at the first hint of me struggling with the material and my ability to focus, she was noticeably annoyed. At first, it started out with her huffing at me and rolling her eyes when I would have to ask her multiple questions in class, followed by statements like,
"Peachaboo, I just answered the same question from you a few minutes ago. If you were paying attention, I wouldn't have to keep repeating myself. You should really try harder, and at least show you are trying."
When the words left her mouth, I was baffled and just sank back deep into my chair, utterly defeated.
and stayed quiet for the rest of the class. Later, after school, when my mom picked me up from school, I told her about what happened with Miss Trunch, and for a split second, she frowned hard at it before quickly smiling at me and pulling me into a hug. "Don't worry, hon. I'm sure that she was just having a rough day. I know that you're trying your best, and that's what matters." Little did I know that after I told my mother about this, that she had her eye on Miss Trunch from that day on. For the next few months, the situation between me and Miss Trunch did nothing but gradually get worse, as did the bullying from my peers. The same kind of interactions between me and her happened multiple times in the same way. I would ask for clarification to help me understand. She would become frustrated and brush me off like I wasn't trying hard enough, and I would just sink in my chair, completely confused why she was treating me this way, when all I was doing was trying to understand. Things finally came to a head one day, and still to this day, I get angry thinking about it. That day, Miss Trunch was out for the day, and we had a substitute teacher, which quite frankly made my whole day. Instead of our normal class routine, we got to watch movies and have free time to read books of our choice or practice with grammar improvement games that we had gotten that year. Now, I loved these handheld grammar games. Every chance I could in class, I would tinker around with it, and it really started to help me too. So for the majority of class, I focused on the game, and as the class bell rang, I put it back in the drawer where it belonged. The next day, all heck broke loose. I walk into my English class with Miss Trunch, and she is standing at the front of the class with her arms across her chest, visibly angry, and shoots me a glare, snapping at all of us to take our seats. We all did as we were told, and took our seats before she went on to bark at us that the grammar learning tool was gone, and she wanted to know who the last person to use it was. This is when my bully capitalized on the opportunity. Ted.
Peekaboo was the last person who used it before school was over yesterday, and I saw her put it in her bag before she left.
I was completely dumbstruck at what he said.
What? What are you talking about, Ted? I put it back where it belonged before I left.
Liar! You're just trying to get out of trouble, and I wasn't the only one who saw you.
Right after he said that, other members of Ted's crew spoke up, going along and agreeing with him like little sheep do. I stared at them in disbelief, on the brink of tears, before Miss Trunch's stern tone brought my attention back to her glaring at me.
Peekaboo, I'm giving you one chance now to tell me where it is, or I'm going to have you suspended for theft of school property.
But Miss Trunch, I didn't do it. I've never stolen anything in my life.
She raises her hand to silence me.
This is your last warning. Tell me the truth.
Me, now visibly upset.
But I really didn't do it.
That's it!
Miss Trunch reached out, grabbing my arm, and dragged me out of the classroom, and then pushed me hard into the wall next to the door, and then proceeded to get down on my level and look me right in the face.
You are not allowed back into my class until you stop throwing a tantrum and decide to tell me the truth.
She then left me alone there, slamming the door behind her. At this point, I was in full panic attack mode, sobbing and just completely defeated, and I cried it out. By far, this was one of the worst experiences in all of my years of school. It's bad enough to have a bully, but to have a teacher join in when they're supposed to be the ones teaching, guiding, and protecting you? It was completely devastating. I sat there after I couldn't cry anymore and got a clearer head and waited. Thankfully, my lunchtime period was right after this class, so I waited till the lunch bell rang and then went to eat, and one of the lunch ladies, seeing how red my face was, even passed me a free cookie to help cheer me up. After lunch, I had 3 more classes, 2 without Miss Trunch and the last one with. Because I wouldn't admit to something I didn't do, Miss Trunch had me sit outside of the classroom till the final bell rang, which honestly at this point, I didn't mind. I was steaming mad and still upset, so I didn't want to deal with her BS. After school, when my mother picked me up, She could tell that I wasn't myself and that I had been crying, so of course she asked me what was wrong. I did my best to hold back my tears, but it was no use. For the second time in that day, I cried my eyes out while I told her everything. The whole time, my mother was completely silent, which was nowhere near normal for her, but after I was done, she pulled me into a tight hug and told me not to worry, that it was over now, and she knew that I didn't do it, which was soothing enough to know that someone actually did believe me. She took me home and made me my favorite dinner before doing my homework and heading to bed. The next day when I got to school, I did my best to avoid any more conflicts with Miss Trunch. I was allowed back in class, and it went pretty smoothly despite her glaring at me most of the day. Then, after lunch, when my final period with her came, she was nowhere to be seen, which was the best thing that had happened to me in months. I didn't think much of it, because it wasn't odd for her to leave early for some reason or another, but much later I found out exactly why she was gone, and it was glorious. It turns out, the day after the incident while I was at school, my mother tossed my entire room looking for the tool, knowing full well that I was not the kind of kid who would steal from anyone. Lo and behold, nothing. It wasn't there, and that was when my mother came to school. Like Wonder Woman herself, she came into the office and asked to not only speak to the principal, but Miss Trunch as well. While they waited for Miss Trunch, my mother gave the principal the lowdown of what had happened. Then enter Miss Trunch, who smugly grinned at my mother when she saw her and was about to speak before my mother cut her off. My mom: I would like to have you know that I have looked through Peekaboo's whole room from top to bottom, and I can tell you that she did not do what you accused her of. And how dare you accuse my daughter of stealing with absolutely no proof? I cannot even tell you how beyond disappointed I am that a teacher would treat any child as you treated mine. You told me that I didn't have to worry, that she would be safe in your hands, and yet here we are. I don't know how you can even come in here and look at me in the face after what you've done. And how you have made it this long in the school system is beyond me. So help me, if I find out that you have so much as looked at my daughter the wrong way again, I will be reporting this to the school board and making sure all the mothers I know in this school know how you have behaved. Miss Trunch sneered at my mother and was about to presumably say something to defend herself and place the blame on me. However, this time the principal cut her off. Principal:
Miss Trunch, that's enough. I believe that in the future, before you have any suspicions of any student's wrongdoing, not only should you make sure that you do your best to find out the full story, but also bring it to me so I can handle it. I feel like this will be better for all parties involved so that there won't be any misunderstandings. If that is okay with you, ma'am.
To which my mother agreed. But Miss Trunch didn't say anything back. Instead, she left the room in tears, knowing full well her credibility had just been smashed to pieces. Apparently, she was so upset, she left work early. That's right, my mother made that harpy cry like a baby. From that point on, my principal was a huge ally for me at school. Anytime I would have issues with bullies or Miss Trunch, he had me come directly to him to report it, and he would have it handled. I started to build more confidence in myself and joined the swim team and eventually graduated high school. Went to colleges, proving all the people who underestimated me wrong. And it's all thanks to my superhero mom. Moral of the story: teachers are supposed to be a source of support for our young people while getting their education and becoming young adults, and no student is alike. Just because one student struggles doesn't mean you should treat them as an inconvenience, lest you get struck down by the brutal hammer of justice. Thank you so much for reading, and see you all on the next one. Next we've got My Mother Will Not Give Me My College Fund. I don't know if this is considered an entitled parent story. I just need someplace to vent. So, as you can tell by the title, my mother will not give me my college fund. Why? Because she doesn't approve of the career path I want to go down. I want to be a voice actor. For the past 3 years, I have been going to voiceover classes, working with voice actors, who I'm now proud to call my friends, developing my voices, learning my strengths, and working on my weaknesses.
In the city of which I live, there's a school specifically for voiceover, and they just announced that they are doing a full-time diploma program covering all aspects of voiceover, from animation to commercials to the business side of things, and so much more. Of course, me being excited about it, I called the school and got all the information that I could get my hands on. This included costs, course length, and what the course will cover, along with other details. I gathered all the info and I called my mom. And in the most mature sounding voice, I explained everything that the course has to offer. I even sent her the links to the website and the phone number to the school so she can call and ask her own questions. And here's the part that gave me faith in going to school. The school takes college funds as a method of payment. The 6-month course costs $14,000. They didn't do that before because all the classes they offered prior were part-time. I even told my mother that I was already working on the application, which included a 250 to 500 word essay on the following: why I want to have a career in voiceover, a time when I was challenged personally in my life and how I pushed through to overcome it, why I am suited to a career in voiceover, and I am most interested in one of the following: animation or commercial voiceover, my dream job in voiceover. After I'm done telling her all this, she simply says to me, "Why don't you do something more practical?" I reply with, "Because this is what I meant to do. It feels right." I've always been an artsy person. I'd get in trouble for being creative. I've been grounded for singing too loud. My mother has always shot down creativity. My mom continued with, "But you may not make much money. I just want you to be happy." I should point out my mother makes a lot of money, and she is very miserable. I say, "Voice acting makes me happy. You keep asking me if I'm happy, and I never answer because I'm not. The only time I truly feel happy and confident is when I'm in a recording booth." My mom said back, "I'll have to give it some thought. I don't want to waste money on silly things like this." She then hung up. I started to cry my eyes out. I have had this college fund since the day I was born. Instead of toys, my parents told my family to put some money into my fund every Christmas and birthday. When my great-grandparents died, some of their estate went into my fund. I'm lucky enough to have one, so I would like to use it. But since my mother doesn't approve of my happiness, she keeps threatening to give it to my sisters. I don't know how much is in that fund because she won't tell me. And the more I ask her about it, the more she evades the questions and the more I question its existence. I want her to be straightforward with me, but she never is. I finished my essay and will attach it below. I have never been so proud of anything else that I have made. I also sent a copy of it to my mother, hoping to change her mind. If I don't get my fund, I honestly don't know what I'm going to do. I have no luck. I was diagnosed with depression at age 8. I had to move from Calgary to Vancouver due to financial issues, and my mother wouldn't let me stay with her until I graduated because she couldn't handle me. And to top it all off, I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis this year. As someone who has had no confidence for as long as I can remember, I have finally found something that I'm proud to talk about. I'm happy and confident when I step into that booth. I get to create things I thought only happened in dreams, and for the first time in my life, I wasn't told no. Instead, I'm told to slow down, speed up, and keep going. Never no or stop, and it feels amazing. Again, with my mother constantly putting restrictions and conditions on everything, I feel like I'm losing my mind. I haven't lived with her for over 8 years. She kicked me out when I was 12, and I'm now 20. The only reason I still talk to her is just in case something were to happen to my sisters, and I'm in need of my darn fund. I'm still going to pursue voice acting until the day I die. However, it's just going to take a lot longer to get my demo and everything done. Demos are expensive as heck. And guess what? The course gives you a demo of your choosing, and they do an agent showcase. I could leave the program with a diploma, voiceover, and even call an agent. It will cut my time down significantly, and I'll be able to get work faster. But until then, I'm just gonna keep fighting her and slowly save up to accomplish my goals. And our final story of the day. My entitled mom wants me to skip the shipping academy. Good evening, Mr. Reddit. I've been following you on YouTube for a while, and I like your stories. This is the first time I'm posting a story here. This is going to be a long one. My first language isn't English, so please correct my spelling and grammar. I'm on my laptop. Edit in the end. Backstory. I'm a male adopted from Thailand to a very conservative Pentecostal family in Finland. I've also got an adoptive brother from Thailand. He is the golden child. My adoptive parents are farmers, and my life has been hard in my teens, and even as an adult. I ran away from home in 2003 and ended up working on a cruise ship until 2007. Cast. We've got Ralph, me, the becoming sailor. We've got Mom, my adoptive mom. We've got Dad, my adoptive dad, the old sailor, not so entitled, but still. And we've got Chris, my childhood friend, only mentioned in the story. This is the story. It was after harvest time in September 2016. I came to my parents' farmhouse late in the evening for a snack and sauna. It had been a long day at the fields. My dad wanted to bring in the crops, caraway, before it started raining. I sat in the basement eating my snack and watching TV. My mom came down and she sat at the sofa close to the fireplace. She handed over a newspaper and showed me an ad about a shipping academy in one of the bigger cities. The conversation went like this. "Look at the ad. You should apply there. You are always telling us that you want to return to the sea." "You are right, but I wanted to study shipping after high school, but you denied me. You forced me to study economics. It is maybe too late for the shipping academy now." Mom with an evil smile.
Maybe it is too late, but try to apply there. I think you're never going to study there anyway.
Dad comes to the basement.
I think Ralph has a good chance to get in the shipping academy. He has 4 years of experience.
That is crap. Do you think they'll accept him? He hasn't been working like a sailor. He was only an environmental guy aboard that took care of rubbish and junk for recycling.
My dad doesn't say anything. He went upstairs to his office. He doesn't like to argue with Mom anyway. I've got 646 days at sea. If you don't believe me, I can show you the email I got from the Swedish Shipping Administration. The cruise ship was under a Swedish flag.
Whatever. They'll never accept you anyway. And this is a Finnish shipping academy. Why can't you be like Chris? He is a good man who is living with his sick old parents, and he is taking care of them every day. You should take care of us.
Do you think he has a good life? Living with his parents who pay for everything and he doesn't want to work at all?
How dare you judge Chris? He is a farmer like us. He is working hard taking care of his old and sick parents. And besides that, he is working at their farm too. Don't you like to be here at the farm with us?
Notice that I'm over 30 years old by now. I went ashore because of being bullied on board. That is another story. Farming has become difficult by now. Everything is expensive and the crop prices are falling down. Chris has not been working at their farm for over 15 years. He hired me to do the work until I left the country. I want to do what I love most of all, to be at sea. December 2016. I've got a letter from the shipping academy. I am very happy that I got in. I ran to my dad and showed him the letter. Dad was very happy that I managed to get in. He handed over the letter to my mom. She was less happy. Mom was giving me the look from heck. Then she opened her mouth.
Do you really think you are going to manage to live and study in the bigger city?
It's no problem. I've been living in Sweden for 15 years and also in Norway for a while. This is only 300 kilometers south from our village. My brother lived and studied in a bigger city too, to become a cook, and that wasn't a problem.
He is different, not like you. You always messed up. I just told you that you should be like Chris.
I don't know what I messed up. You messed up for me. I wasn't allowed to study what I wanted after high school, and for the last time, I don't want to be like Chris. Dad opens his mouth at last. He is red in the face, and he shouts to my mom.
Don't you ever listen to other people? Everything is always about what you want. You forced him to participate in Sunday school, the youth group, and all that other stuff that he didn't want to participate in. Of course he became a rebel.
The day came when I moved to the bigger city to study at the shipping academy. I've got new friends, and I met some old friends too. Mom calls me every now and then to remind me about how happy Chris is and how awesome her church is. Sometimes I don't answer her calls,
because I'm sick of her stories. It's like a CD player on repeat. Edit 1. I graduated November 21st, 2018. Watchkeeping engine. Dad was very proud. I've got a job at a cargo ship this year, 2019, and I'm doing good. Edit 2. If parents don't let their kids study what they're interested in, that kid will be rebellious. This is what happened to me, and I'm still getting a lot of crap for that.
And shoutouts to our Regenerals of the day, David, Moonblood, Clixie, and Gaon. Become tomorrow's Regenerals by leaving as many reads as you can in the comments below, and please listen to my playlist every night when you go to sleep.